Then your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why?
22 million dollars in 3 fucking hours!
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares, partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
GMGMG money in the chat. What's up, boys? How we doing? Okay, fingers crossed. We're hoping our X chat works again today because it hasn't been. If you guys want to chat, YouTube's working. We already see G money in here. X chat, it hasn't been working the last couple of days, so I've had to look over here. I might actually pull it up now, just in case. But woo, 4.5% up on Bitcoin on the day. We reclaimed 72,000. 3.35% on Ethereum, 2.2% on Solana. The charts look delicious. Delicious.
Guys, if you want to join us on YouTube, I just typed it in there. YouTube.com/@MCG_live. Go subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. Get your crypto moms. Dude at work that says, hey, man, I downloaded a wallet. Get him to subscribe because everyone.
Because it's the freaking bottom of the bear market. We're going up from here.
We're up from here.
Let's make him some money.
You know, if it rugs even further, so be it. We'll be back. We'll be streaming anyways. So, all right.
Yeah, dude, and of course, the Twitter chat is not working. I see you, Crypto Jones.
Okay,
it's
guys,
on exercise.
I reset it. I reconnected it. So sorry about that, guys. We're dealing this week as an X problem.
It's all good, though. I can see the chat. Crypto Jones says, Dom, WTF, next time Trump drops a crypto-related news like that, let the viewers know. My shorts got absolutely smashed. Well, buddy, you shouldn't have been short. I was telling you to go long I've been telling you to go long for the last couple of months now. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to take that to the chin. But yes, let's actually talk about this Trump news. It happened at the end of stream yesterday. But some pretty crazy stuff. Let's see. All right. Let's get into it for the day, boys. We got some good stuff coming. Let's run it. All right. First and foremost, Donald Trump. I mean, you guys see the Hyperliquid chart. Actually, I'll tab over here first. You guys see the Hyperliquid chart. Kissing all-time highs right now. I mean, absolute candle. And by the way, if you were paying attention and watching this live, watching the Trump conversation live, you had plenty of time to long this as soon as he mentioned Hyperliquid. It was like a free long. You could have taken some size on it. So Hyperliquid's looking great. And of course, Lighter as well is kind of following this whole perps in the United States narrative. Lighter is at all-time highs, looking beautiful. But let's see what Donald Trump has to say here, because he is the KOL of the year.
Chairman Selig authorized the first ever True Bitcoin perpetual futures contract on a CFTC registered exchange. First time. I understand that Mike is also working to bring Hyperliquid into the United States in a fully compliant and legal fashion. He's working very hard on that. Chairman Selig authorized.
There it is, boys. Hyperliquid. You're getting the shills from the president of the United States. Washed had a pretty good tweet that I wanted to talk about. Okay. He is quote tweeting a first Squawk post that says Trump, U.S. has discussed plans to accumulate sizable amounts of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Wash said, so basically not much left juice to squeeze in equities land. So they pivot to crypto to run back the same playbook. Short-term, great, but not ideal in the midterm. Once they run out of assets to pump, narrative quickly becomes that Trump cabal came to crypto so they could extract more, and it's over for real this time. It's not. Yeah, no, I think this is great. This is bullish. It's coming at a timely time. I actually don't think Trump has much impact. Obviously, we see what's happening with Hyperliquid, but like, I don't think Trump speaking or whatever happened yesterday is any indicator on why the market's going up. I just think the market's generally bottomed out. We're seeing a lot of catalysts to move prices up. But yeah, I mean,
I will.
What are your thoughts?
I will say the Razmir dumping of his bags, and I'm guilty of
It does
this
help.
too. You know, I got my hype bags sold at these levels at $72 or whatever, $71 on stream too, by the way. But I think like it was pretty clear because that Mike guy did a Bankless podcast in July where he very clearly stated that this is exactly what they were doing. So to me, this announcement is not a surprise if you kind of watched his podcasts. They've been signaling to the market, the CFTC, for some time that Hyperliquid would get a license.
Yeah. Boys, before we jump in too much further, guys, shout out to the boys in the chat. RJ, what up, boys? Top Fumbler, GM. RJ, we're so back. Indeed, we are, brother. So back. It feels fantastic. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping before we get too much in the weeds here. We got a really fun, exciting episode today. Informational. With that said, at 12:30 we have Pranav coming on, which is leading investor relations at Meteora. So we just saw Meteora publish their H1 report talking about their numbers. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the Meteora chart recently, but it ain't looking so bad. We're going to talk to Pranav a little bit about the Meteora numbers, their positioning, what they're doing next, the leadership turnover we've seen, or maybe turnover is not the right word, but the leadership adjustment that's happening at Meteora. We know Soju has either stepped away or left for the time being. So we're going to talk through that. We're going to talk through why Meteora is the most plus EV place to trade compared to some other venues. After that, we got Nate coming on to talk AI. We know Vlad Tenev has been very, very vocally bullish about RWAs, and Long XYZ was the first to bring tokenized pairing to tokenized stock pairing to Robinhood, right? So we got Nate coming back on. He's been on the show before. He's talking through updates with AI. I also heard from his tweets, and I mean, let me not tease you guys without showing proof here. I think he mentioned he might be teasing an announcement here. Can I find it? Huh. Well, somewhere he said they've got some stuff cooking. They might be able to announce it today. So pay attention, lock in for that one. Following that, we got Kenton. We got Kenton from Spend, and we've had the Spend team on before. They had TVLs growing. People were starting to use their spending protocol. But recently they dropped a Made token. It's called Self-Made. It's 1.6 million market cap. Last minute, we just grabbed them on today to talk about it. They are participating in the Ansem Hackathon. So, just talking through their thinking, their thoughts behind that, what this actually looks like. You can see more on it here. Self-Made is like the Twitter account. I'll be using the trading fees from Made to purchase hardware through Spend and build my own body. So just talking through that, what that looks like, it should be a pretty interesting conversation. With that being said, that's who we got today. We're going to talk through a lot of the markets as well. What you need to do is go down to this page and hit the like button and hit retweet. Let's let the people know we're live. We're firing on all cylinders. The markets are up. We're printing, and we're talking through markets as well. So it's a good time to do that if you haven't. Of course, Monday through Friday, MCG is live. So make sure you go follow. 14.4K followers. We're on the road to 15K here shortly. So all your support helps, and we appreciate you guys so much. RJ said, it's the bond market. Crypto says, y'all are back. As for me, well, let's just say my ass hurts and my cat is still starving. Oh, brother. Oh, brother, that poor cat.
That's a loaded sentence right there, Crypto Jones. Pure Alpha Notice says, GM, do you think can there be a bear market bottom without a major liquidation event like FTX collapse where people give up on large scale? And I would say
there was, man. It was 12-10.
Yeah, that not only was it 10-10, I think it was 10-10 and then the slow bleed, kind of the frog being boiled kind of thing slowly that happened after that. So
yeah, I mean, whether you want to attribute a capitulation to a big event like FTX or 10-10 or whatever, the truth of the matter, or the fact of the matter is we're down 70% from all, or 55% from all-time highs, 57% from all-time highs, going completely in accordance to the 4-year cycle as we've always done. Nothing's really changed. And we did get that capitulation event. And there was very little attention, very little excitement in crypto, general just fear, and no one was really vibing with crypto.
We also got the various hacks too, the DeFi hacks, which were events where people kind of threw their hands up, and then the memory/AI hardware implosion when situational awareness blew up in some ways, kind of was also a bit of a clearing event for risk on assets. So I would say we got a fair amount.
Yep. We tend to think we're bottomed for sure here. With that being said, we got a few things we can run through before we got 15 minutes before we have Pranav on from Meteor at the chat. But we can run through a few things, man, because the markets are hot. So let's just jump over to macro real quick, and then we can rotate down the risk curve to on-chain. See what we're talking about. Let's pull up the Trump announcement. Check out his cronies. They can't even hold back their shitty grins. We watched the Hyperliquid one before, but yeah, pretty much we had Vlad on, we had Brian Armstrong, we had guys at Kraken, we had pretty much everyone and their moms from the crypto world at this Trump press conference. And yeah, everyone's bullish crypto for the most part. This administration is very pro crypto. Vlad Tenev gave a good talk on the direction he thinks he's heading. Again, continues to parrot that same narrative we've talked about for so long, which is RWAs, coming on chain, accessibility to everyone, blah, blah, blah. So nothing new there from that press conference that I gathered outside of the casual, subtle, hyper liquid shill that we got. But here's Bitcoin. I mean, it looks like something's happening, guys. I love this. From the weekly perspective, super compressed prices. Now we're just candling up. Willing buyers are stepping in. Unwilling sellers are in this market. So we have a ease of movement to the upside. Bitcoin's up 4.2% on the day, following a big day yesterday, which was another like 4% day. So looking really good on Bitcoin. In the last 4 days, we've gone from $62,000 to $72,000, $10,000 price jump in Bitcoin. Ethereum, not too shabby itself, from 1870 4 days ago up to 2,300, and this one continues to grind again. It was the leader yesterday, and we know life is coming back to the Ethereum trenches. Return to mainnet is happening. Robinhood's blowing up. V4 hooks are really taking shape. Josh, I don't know about you, bro. It's feeling like a DeFi summer. It's feeling like a DeFi summer in a big way.
I would say we saw this kind of starting last week where a lot of the DeFi apps on Robinhood, and, we've covered V4 hooks, et cetera, on here. There's lending protocols. There's all sorts of things on Robinhood that feel very much like 2020 DeFi, like those early days when you got those, the Yams of the world and the YFIs or whatever those early DeFi experiments were. That kind of feels like it's starting to happen on Robinhood if you're there during those times. So I really like this. Like, people are enthusiastic about new innovation. Ethereum's not had something like this for like 3-4 years. This was all purely happening on Solana. It's clearly starting to happen on Ethereum at this point, and so it's good to see.
And what's nice about the things we're seeing is like this innovation is crypto-based innovation. And what we continue to tell you about crypto-based innovation is it's very hard to price these things, right? Because crypto is still a new and emerging asset. So just like back in the early days, like what would run the hardest in crypto? It was new L1s, new L2s, because how could you value something that you don't know the depth of? It's a blue ocean market. And so it's really nice when you see things like V4 hooks, which could innovate liquidity pools. It's very hard to put a price tag on that. Right. And so you can see these blow off top ceilings, which is nice to see, again, crypto native. Because for a long time on Solana, we were seeing, okay, let's get ICM, let's get Web 2 bros in crypto, let's get real businesses. And that worked. And it's a great narrative. But I think even better than that is, something like a V4 hook emergence and this DeFi summer. It's so crypto
and also anchored to equities too, which is really, really great to see. Oh my goodness. So yeah.
So you know what? I have a take on this, Josh. Right now, everyone over the last like 2 months, we've seen this even 3-4 months, we've seen this explosion in equities on chain, right? Sunrise has blown this up on Solana. We got the pre-stocks, X stocks, whatever. Now, of course, Robinhood comes in. We're seeing this massive explosion in equities. And I feel like it's all so funny. It's coming at a very timely moment. It feels like everyone's shifting to equities, pairing their token against USDC or pairing their tokens against the S&P 500 is happening. Like that's bottom signal sign to me. As soon as they take away the Solana or they take away the leverage asset like Ethereum that's paired against their tokens, Ethereum and Solana start to run, right? And I think that was kind of telling. And I had that thought a little while ago too. So
it's valid, but there's some use cases where it just causes those whipsaws though on the bigger timeline. I mean, let's talk about some of the names you've had. You had a list of DeFi names. All have performed really great. Can we go through some of those charts? Because, dude, a lot of our Discord caught this. A lot of MCG viewers caught this. So yeah, let's go through some of these.
I would love to. Maybe I even start again working down the risk curve. Started like Pump Fund, because Pump we called at the Pico bottom. There's a video. The day this is making the spring, the lowest point, where I'm sitting there talking, Pump's trading at a 2.7x price to earnings ratio. And this is something clearly, it's still spinning off $450,000 in buybacks a day at the bottom of the bear market. What do we think happens when volume comes back? And again, a Pump Fund, Meteor, these are volume trades. Volume coming back to Solana equals these tokens do well. Okay. It's very simple. And so we have a video of us talking about this at the Pico bottom, talking about good value, and like, even if it works its way down to a close to even price to earnings ratio, it's like a hammer buy signal. Pump is up 18% in 24 hours. And I think 300 or 200%, 220% from those lows when we talked about it. No one was talking about Pump Fund on the timeline. Everyone hated Pump Fund, I would even say. Now Pump Fund is consensus. Ansem loves it. LB's talking about it. Everyone's saying this is a trade of the cycle. It's funny how that works, and narrative can shift so quickly. So Pump Fund's doing fantastic. And again, this is generally, I think, coinciding with the return of volume to Solana, which we saw has been the highest week for a very, very long time. I go down the curve to Meteora. Again, people keep trying to frame Meteora as a Pump Fund competitor, and I just don't think that's the case. They're two completely different products. And we saw Meteora, and I want to reframe this and reshape it from Meteora versus Pump Fund to Meteora and Pump Fund. Right? If Pump Fund does well, if Ansem ecosystem does well, if all these things blow up, what's happening there? Well, liquidity providers are stepping in and earning a big share of those fees. So more volume in general, even if it's happening on Pump Fund rather than Meteora's AMM, is extremely valuable for Meteora. And so I think we get a similar move to Meteora as we have for Pump over the last month or so.
And add confidence to this. If you guys watch Meteora's last token holder update, their market share of spot trading volume actually increased this last quarter from 6.7% to 8.1%. And if you look at their Solana video that they just did, and we'll show it in a few minutes, they've really talked about being this liquidity infrastructure for the space, really not trying to be competitive, more complementary. So I think this is a great direction for Meteor. So I'm liking it. Whatever increases market share for Met token holders.
Yeah. And I'll say it again, guys, like, we don't have to overthink the trade here. If you believe volume's coming back to Solana, we told you the market share, right? It will unintentionally flow through Meteora, because we understand how routing in crypto works. It's going to route through the best solution, and Meteora is that solution, right? So
And if you
Again,
think about it on the LP side, every new hot meme coin starts, it gets written up, it's going on pump, and then a DLMM pool is created, and then people are adding liquidity to it and printing fees, and then the market routes whatever's the best execution, and so yeah, big winners here on this rise of on-chain.
Crypto Jones in the chat says, yes, Meteor competitor is Radium, not Pump. Totally agree. Hawk, what's going on, brother? How we doing? How we doing in the chat, boys? We got Meteor coming up in a second to talk through some of these numbers. Going down the curve, though, let's talk about Collector Crypt. One we had on again at the bottom. I don't think this was an MCG motion push, but we did have them at a very timely point. And of course, just consumer crypto absolutely blowing up. The numbers on this remain strong. And yeah, you just can't argue with this chart. Another great one. Josh, what's going on with this chart?
Our cred friends. Yeah, this was one I did, guys. I did the chill overvalued, undervalued framework. I said, don't overthink about it. There's a really good clip of me doing that last week. And yeah, I was doing something like this. And it's the idea that when something new is launched, you get a lot of this early attention, excitement. People are learning how to value it. And then, kind of the narrative slows down, and then people take profits, and you get this lull that happens. And then, the story kind of solidifies. The numbers are undeniable. This is a real business. You have within a MetaDAO ownership token, you have ownership of the IP, the revenues, you have the treasury governance. And so this token, now that story, as they execute on the roadmap, is becoming stronger and stronger. And this is really, people are looking for, I think, really fundamental plays that are, high risk reward, not necessarily high risk reward, are high reward, but really like high probability trades. And I think the MetaDAO tokens fit into those buckets very well. And again, Cred's been one we've been really pushing, even just like separate from the sponsorship. Like, we really appreciate their support, but also that the tokens are just fundamentally better. So if you want to explore MetaDAO ownership tokens, go to metadao.fi and futar.io, which is their permissionless launchpad. Yeah.
I mean, to moreover on this, we were talking about Credible before MetaDAO was a sponsor, and it explicitly said this is the best launch to come through MetaDAO to date. And the reason I say that is because the numbers speak for themselves. Over $1 billion in volume processed, 3.5 million annualized run rate right now for Credible, and you can get the ownership. And of course, they have a net asset value of a couple million based on that raise. So
look at someone just clipping in a casual 16.5K while we're chatting.
Well, I will note, Ansem just shilled us. Actually, funny enough, here I'll pull up my Twitter real quick to give you guys some context. I have Twitter Pro open all the time. Now today I have the chat open because X is bugging out. But I have Twitter Pro open all the time. And so I saw Game posted, and this is what he said. I know it's difficult to read, but he said, generally from what I've noticed, it usually takes about 2 to 3 days for a good fundamental non-meme setup to catch on. The initial short attention, blah, 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 blah. And some comments, he said, can you give me a credible bull post to steal, brother? And then Game literally wrote up a credible bull post. Next thing you know, Ansem posts, copy and pastes it on his personal account. So it's so funny. Levels to this bad working shit, bro. You gotta understand. But so I saw that today. I just thought it was funny.
So I really love this. I mean, Game has a really great Telegram, very quiet, not really for a lot of people.
The dude's private on Twitter. Like, he does not care about clout.
He's very private, doesn't care about clout, but he drops in the MCG clips into this. So I always get a nice little smile from that.
Game's the man for sure. Going down the risk curve here. Actually, while we're doing this, let's talk Cars, because I think we explicitly said, Cars is one that's pretty cool as their gotcha platform goes live. And I think they've made some really good progress towards it. They had an incredible dip down to 0.0425 the other day. And I think if you manage to catch that again, you would have a slight 2x, 200% premium on net asset value, I believe here, roughly. Again, you'd have to go and check yourself. But yeah, this is bouncing nice. And again, this Collector Crypt type of consumer gotcha machine crypto product is really taking shape. And I think this is a really cool iteration on top of that.
Gotcha is definitely the primitive of our cycle for sure.
It is. It's one of them. I would say it's one of
them.
Ansem holding up well. Stonk. This is the last thing I'll cover kind of before getting into Robinhood. We have 2 minutes. Stonk is starting to curl again. This was vamped a lot from the Ansem launch, and I wasn't quite sure why. This is still the first launchpad ever to have the primitive, the token pairings that were created on Solana, where you could pair with a pre-IPO company, of course, facilitated by Meteora liquidity pools, where you could pair with a equity, of course, facilitated by Sunrise, which is, again, Meteora. Or you could pair it against a meme coin, which, again, has liquidity pools from Meteora. So I say that all to say, this got vamped by Ansem launching his like wrapper launchpad over Pump Fun. And it didn't make much sense to me that it spit out 700K revenue over the last like 2 weeks. It's a top 50 revenue generating app, and it's trading at, I think they've done about 500K in buybacks, I want to say, and was trading at 4 million at the lows. Didn't make much sense. Of course, if the platform volumes died off, this of course would die with it. But I don't see a new primitive being brought to Solana just dying like that. I think this is curling nicely, right? I've been tweeting about it. I built a position at these lows. I'm not, not financial advice here, but it's curling nicely. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if this revisits all-time highs and gives us a smooth from this point, about 200%, right? So yeah, just a little note today. As for Robinhood, guys, we got to cover this because we've been extremely, all right, Josh, I got you, bro. Let's talk Robinhood real quick. We have to cover it. Notoriously, Solana volumes kind of came back, and Robinhood was in a bit of a lull for the last like week or so. No surprise. It's a new chain. These cycles happen. Well, the volume's coming back. Okay. And CashCat, of course, is bouncing. We've talked about the thesis on CashCat. It's one of those things that's very simple. You don't have to mid-curve it. Every major blockchain has $1 billion meme runner. CashCat is very likely to be that for Robinhood.
Printing, also printing, people are printing on the CashCat DLM pools as well. This volatility has been really, really good. And there's not a huge amount of competition there. I'll check the TVL to fee ratio, but it was actually pretty decent.
That's a conversation we'll have with Pranav as well, because we saw people like Sunrise, not only do they bring equities on chain, but they brought the hot tokens from Robinhood over to Solana. And like, there's such a massive native Solana audience that doesn't want to go through the process of bridging, doesn't want to go over to another chain. They're, supporters of Solana, and they want to trade these assets that are hot natively on Solana. And so like that facilitation is really interesting, and like curious to see, how they've seen that kind of evolve. And if they think native traders are going to stay on their native chain and trade bridged assets more or less with Meteora liquidity pools or not. So I think that that's a really cool one. Josh has a video to kind of tee us up here on Meteora. Solana just dropped a really cool video. So we'll tee it up with that, and then we'll pull our boy up Pranav to talk through some of the numbers, because Meteora is, of course, doing their thing.
Yeah, on the 0.2 fee CashCat pool, it's like 1%, 24-hour fees to TVL. I'm sure there's a better pool. I just can't see it live right now, but we'll get that to you guys for later. But here, let's give this quick view, and then we'll bring a quick watch, then bring up Pranav. I think it's a really great a narrative setting video for Meteora. So we'll just play this.
If you've traded on Solana, you've probably used Meteora. You just didn't know it. Behind the apps and the aggregators sits a layer of liquidity infrastructure, and Meteora has quietly become one of the largest pieces of it. Behind every trade in DeFi is a liquidity pool. Regular users deposit pairs of tokens like SOL and USDC. And every time someone swaps against that pool, the depositor earns a fee. That's a liquidity provider. You supply the market, and the market pays you. The problem is that most pools are inefficient. Liquidity gets spread thin across prices where nothing is traded. So capital sits idle, and providers earn less than they should. Meteora built its core engine to fix that. It's called the DLMM, liquidity organized into precise price bins, concentrated exactly where trading is actually happening. Within a bin, trades execute with zero slippage. And when markets get volatile, fees adjust automatically. So providers earn more when their capital is working hardest. Meteora handles more than 300 billion in volume and has generated more than 1.6 billion in fees for retail LPs. And liquidity isn't just for trading, it's how new tokens are born. We're heading toward a world where millions of people launch billions of tokens, and every one of them needs a market from day one. That's what Meteora's launch rail provides. Bonding curves that build liquidity from the very first block, then graduate into full trading pools automatically. Meteora also trains the people behind the pools. The LP Army is a community of 20K plus strong with its own academy, boot camps, and live strategy sessions, teaching everyday users to run the kind of strategies that used to belong to market makers. Meteora is a bet the future of crypto runs on liquidity, and that the pools behind every trade are worth building right. Follow Solana to see what's being built next in Solana DeFi.
Love that. Wow, 300 billion in volume.
It's crazy.
300 billion in volume, 1.6 billion dollars in fees paid out. And another topic we just want to discuss during this is is it plus EV to trade on Meteora versus trading? And we see the numbers. It's pretty compelling. So guys, without further ado, let's get Pranav up here to just talk through everything today. Pranav, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, it's so great to be on MCG Live. This is my first time ever, so stoked. I have a light set up here. I'm very, very excited.
Oh wow, you haven't been on MCG Live. I know we've had Murr, of course we've had Soju, we've had some of the guys, but no Pranav. Okay, well, welcome to the show then. Maybe we'll start there since you're new to MCG, and maybe the audience here, of course, the Meteora crew is probably familiar with you, but could you give a quick idea on who you are and your relationship with Meteora?
Yeah, thanks for that. I am Pranav. I run investor relations and a bunch of like extra growth projects, but primarily my day-to-day is to get people to get specifically liquid funds to understand how Meteora works and why it is so sticky with our users, right? And at the end of the day, help them understand the bull thesis that you guys have actually kind of like covered in many different ways. Just in the past 30 minutes, I've been watching you guys. So that's predominantly what I do. And on the side, I also try to grow Bitrock, which is our tokenization efforts, a way to get more cool assets tradable on Solana, on Meteora. So that's roughly what I do. I joined Meteora 9 months ago in October 2025, right as we TGE'd. And I think I truly saw how insanely powerful Meteora as a community factor, a community toolset is during Met Derby. I think you guys were there as well, right? So
Indeed.
It was insane. I have never been to a crypto event that like attended by actual users, and every other person was coming up to Mir, to Dan, to Soju, and telling, guys, we love your product. It's amazing. It truly blew my mind.
Yeah, Pranay, we always talk about how these consumer crypto apps have like this really core group of power users that just rise or die for the platform. I don't think there's another product that can say they have more of that group than Meteora and building up that LP army. Maybe some insights on that. Like when you guys, what's the angle you guys take on building up this community and LP army, and how do you guys foster such a good group of power users that comes back day in and day out to trade on Meteora?
I think all of that has to go towards the education efforts, right? The LP Academy, right? Because when you have a complicated toolset, and I have to say LPing is complicated compared to just buy, sell, perp, 100x leverage, right? When you have a complicated toolset, when you also provide the resources for someone to learn, to understand how to apply it every day, and then also showcase the wins you get, right? So it's really the full life cycle. When a new user comes to the LP Academy or is introduced to Meteora, they see what I can do, what that results in terms of the P&L post that people post, and how can I do that myself, right? So it's truly like a step 1 to step 10 kind of journey that the LP Academy and the LP Army has created. This has resulted in a 20,000 strong Discord, right? So all of those people are just like every other day teaching each other how to use DLMM, how to use DAM-V2 to like really just generate as much fees as possible, how to like pick out those high volume runners, right? And the ability to like onboard new users quickly is essentially our main focus area to growing the LP Army even bigger.
If you guys want to join the LP Army, discord.gg/LP Army, it's at the bottom there on the ticker. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, actually the other day I had people reach out and say, how can I get involved and learn Meteora? And I said, LP Army is the best place. They're like so helpful in there. You guys have like a playground where you can go and play with fake money to learn how to trade. Like there's so many resources. There's YouTube academies and courses. We got heavy metal, we got crime, like genuinely so helpful. But you mentioned something I think is interesting. You said LPing is a little more complicated. We know retail likes to come in. It's very easy through FOMO, through Pump Trading Terminal, through all these apps to just buy and sell spot, right? It's very simple. How do we bring those walls down to let people know, hey guys, LPing is actually a better way to do it than just trade, because you actually earn fees on these. And how do we make it more simplified for the average person?
I think there are two main ways we can do it. The first is communication, right? You have to go out and shout from the top of the mountains that LPing is not as complicated as it seems, because we have all of these tool sets And that's the second thing. The tool sets have to be robust enough that when someone comes, it's not complicated. It's not something that I have to look through a manual. Sure, the LP Academy exists, but I should be able to, as a new user, just click a few buttons and get like, okay, I get the rough gist. If I want to learn more, then the LP Academy is there to like go through the different types of like strategies and things like that. How can you pair limit orders? How can you pair buy, sell, spot trading alongside LPing? But the core tool set must be very easy to grab on day one, right? So that's what we've been doing with the dynamic terminal. So if you even looked at Meteora even 6 months ago, it is completely different to what it looks like today. Meteora 6 months ago was very pool-based. You would see lists of different pools. You'd have to search for the pool. You have to know that token exists before you even can DLMM into it. Once you click into it, it's very menus and checkboxes. But right now, it's a much more familiar face, right? You see a big chart right in the center, all the details on the left, and then your user input on the right. It is so clean right now. I was just telling I always like telling my friend, my colleagues that when I joined Meteora nine months ago, I wanted to just do a simple swap, right? I went to Meteora.ag. I couldn't find the swap button. There was no swap button. But today you have everything. You have limit orders, you have buy, sell, and LPing, right? So when people come to Meteora.ag and then they look at buy, sell, it's familiar. Oh, what's this LPing thing? Oh, what's this curves thing? Oh shit, dynamic fees. That means I generate more fees with volatility. It's this learning curve, learning pathway that we're trying to create with our dynamic terminal.
I want to ask actually about this because we're seeing maybe, and I would love the context here, third-party developers start to build certain things here. And I'm going to bring this on stream. Sorry, I got to remove DOMs there. I saw this HawkFi demo here, and I'm just wondering, can you give us a little context of what we're looking at here and the role maybe third-party developers are playing?
And if I can even stack on top of that, automated strategies. How are you guys thinking about those as well?
Right. So what HawkFi is doing is essentially rapidly opening and closing limit orders using our native limit orders. And this essentially mimics how a very rudimentary market making bot that exists that you can code up with Claude in a day, right? So that's what HawkFi is trying to do, but at a much more sophisticated level because they're actually using on-chain tools, on-chain limit orders to provide the fills. When it comes to how Meteora can be used in an automated fashion, I can't remember the project, but I think we have a bunch of LP Agent, yes. So LP Agent allows you to automate the entries and exits and LP positions, right? So all of this is possible today through Meteora AG's tool stack. But we've heard constantly that we want better support from our users, better CLI support, and that's something that we're also working towards. Eventually, we'll be able to, Meteora.ag should be something that anyone can access through the UI or something through their own coded terminal, right? So that's something InSilico does. They're able to aggregate across different exchanges and provide a consolidated terminal. That's what we want to do also. So an ability for people to build on top of Meteora.ag.
So if I understand correctly, you're creating a developer ecosystem because originally when the DLMM terminal came out, it was this is where you go to provide liquidity, but obviously trading bots and people do a lot of API based trading. So you're saying that there's developer tool sets that are expanding out the DLMM access and this being one example of those products?
Exactly. With Claude and agentic trading, right? We should be providing the ability for a user to plug and play our toolset either via MCP, probably not, but through an API at least, so that they can interact with the underlying program much faster, and then you can start to automate discovery of tokens and then aping in and aping out, zapping and zapping out into these tokens. Right now, it's still much more manual. But the moment it becomes much more automated, you have so much greater of a surface area for new users to come in to use Meteora.
Yeah, as someone who's actively traded on the DLMM terminal, there's a lot of manual kind of thinking, human decision processes that I'm doing. And of course, I'm a retail front end user. I'm sure some people are a little more sophisticated, but I would love that extra layer of automation or some sort of automation help because when you do manual trading, there's obviously human error and then things get mispriced and, you're in a trade when you should probably have closed it a little bit further. You're bending your rules a little bit, and bending the rules can turn into losses. So I do welcome that.
Yep. And you mentioned something earlier when you were kind of introducing yourself. You mentioned that you work with a lot of liquid funds. And I think we're about to get into the numbers. You guys have been an incredibly resilient business. There has been really no other crypto business, or very few and far in between, that has been as resilient as Meteora during this downturn in the market. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about your relationship with liquid funds. We talked a lot about retail just now and how it's maybe a better solution for them, how we can onboard them, what you guys are doing to just accommodate those people. But maybe talk me through about like what these conversations with liquid funds are looking like. Obviously, Sunrise had introduced a lot of equities to the market, and these need pools of liquidity and people to step in and kind of provide that liquidity. Where do liquid funds come into the picture?
I would say that liquid funds still have mostly a broad mandate to invest into crypto tokens, right? So even though there are tokenized equities on chain, a lot of liquid funds, because their mandate constrains them to actually invest in on-chain protocols, they can't actually touch tokenized equities.
Okay.
Now, obviously, this is broad strokes, right? Some funds have a much more broader mandate, but it depends, right? But a lot of these funds that don't have such a broad mandate, they still end up having to choose the winners of each narrative, of each cycle, of each chain. And that's where Meteora comes up. We are often the first or the second shining example of any of the DEX narrative, the DEX space, for example.
Got you. And maybe we start talking towards a little bit of what you're seeing emerge on chain. We saw 4 or 5 months ago, equities coming on chain was practically non-existent. Meteora, of course, for a long time has been positioning to build out the infrastructure to enable a lot of this stuff. And of course, anything trading on Solana needs liquidity to trade in and out of. And so, of course, that's where you guys step in and provide that infrastructure. What are you seeing on the ground level in terms of like the emergence of equities coming on chain? We've seen Sunrise specifically go from like $2 billion to $8 billion in volume just on their equities in a matter of 2 months, 3 months. What are you guys seeing, and how are you guys positioning for that?
I think it is very much the hyper financialization of everything, right? Everything should be traded and will be traded on chain in some way or form, right? That was perps, but now that's spot, right? So yeah, Sunrise has been a huge way for insane amounts of volumes to come into Solana, and Meteora, right? We did 2.9 billion in equities and non-native assets through Sunrise, right? Just that one partner alone.
Wow.
Which of course 370 million was tokenized equities. But I think Sam Schubert from Blockworks posted an article or posted a screenshot recently where we were leading in the amount of volumes we did recently for tokenized equities. But if you look at the past 7 weeks, throughout the past 7 weeks, we've actually been leading in terms of how much volumes we do for tokenized equities. So yeah, 100% since day one, we have been ready for this wave of new type of asset being traded, because the core is the DLMM, and the DLMM is completely composable. It works with any asset, right? So we're kind of just give us your best shot and we will handle it, right? Yeah, I think and throughout H1, we personally did $1.47 billion of volumes through our DLMM and DAM V2 pools, right? So I just think these are bonkers numbers. And again, 3-4 months ago, we would not have had anything like this on chain, and now here we are.
Do you think, I mean, well, we're going to get to the numbers here. Do you think this has been a meaningful, just like this emergence of equities, and I forget the word you specifically used, but non-native assets, I think is what it was. Is this emergence of non-native assets, has this been a big value driver for your top line revenue over the last, quarter or half of the year?
I wouldn't say it is the biggest, because obviously meme coins will always be there, because the way Meteora works is we excel stupendously, to an insane amount on the long tail, right? The longer, the more niche the asset, the better suited we are to serve them. Because the reason is users would come to our platform to provide liquidity for these long tail assets, right? So we're really good at this. So when you think about tokenized equities, even though we do a lot of the volumes, not often are these volumes very highly monetized, right? These are low fee tier pools. And yet, at the end of the day, when you look at narrative and mindshare, it is pertinent that all these DEXs have to be the best at their game. And that's what we want to be. So we are, we are doing the most volumes for at least the past 7 weeks for tokenized equities. And that's important for us. Even though it might not meaningfully contribute to our bottom line, the fees generated is still meaningful to our users. So at the end of the day, it is just as important as any other narrative.
Got you. Actually, and this is something I want to talk about as well. As we see volumes kind of come back to the trenches, we saw Ansem recently released like a wrapper of a pump fund launchpad, and we just saw incredible volumes over the last couple of days, more so than we've seen in months and months and months. And there's this is narrative I feel like that people kind of propagate where it's like, okay, it has to be pump fund winning or it has to be Meteora winning. And I see this and I'm like, in fact, it's quite the opposite. Pump fund doing well is directly indicative of Meteora doing well. And we see that with Ansem. I think Ansem, you guys are leading in terms of the LP, and there's so much fees generated from that. Can you maybe talk me through how you guys see just your work with Meteora and some of the with Pump Fund, excuse me, and a lot of the memes that come out of that and a lot of the recent volumes?
Yeah. At the end of the day, because as I mentioned, right, Meteora just does so well at servicing long tail volumes. It doesn't matter if these tokens aren't launched on Meteora native launchpads. They can be launched on, the Pump Fund Claw Pump Tech. They can be launched on Pump Fund. But at the end of the day, after these tokens are launched, most of the time, 50% of our fees are basically from Pump Fund tokens, right? So a lot of the times, users find these runners, spot them, and then provide liquidity on our pools. And the reason is because DLMM, right? It is a sticky product that allows anyone to provide liquidity very precisely instead of just spreading out thin. So it's much more capital efficient, and that allows our users to generate way more fees. So just that driving factor alone has allowed all these users to provide liquidity and kind of forcefully migrate the liquidity from another place onto Meteora, right? So it is never, as you've mentioned, it is never Pump Fund v Meteora. It's an ecosystem play. Obviously, when volumes go ballistic, Pump Fund will benefit the most, but Meteora is able to service a lot of those volumes, right? And compared to the other general purpose AMMs, we generate most fees for our users by far, right? So I think I have a few slides on that here, but we can show that later.
Yeah, maybe anecdotal. I want to ask from the trader perspective, because I get it and I understand it from the LP side. This is really exciting. But for traders, what does this do for meme coin traders who are clicking buttons on apps? Does this mean they're getting better fills on pump tokens that are launching out of those ecosystems? Like, what does it mean for just traders in general to have Meteora providing liquidity to these non-Meteora launch tokens?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So by nature of DLMM, right, because it is so bin-based, you have to select the bins that you want to provide liquidity in. And oftentimes, to maximize fees, you're going to be providing liquidity where the price is trading. This just means that you have much more liquid routes for traders to in and out, which means your slippage is so much lower. That means your experience is better. So even if your front end is charging a lot of fees, the final execution, because a lot of the volumes are routed through Meteora, means that the traders are net beneficial, right? So if Meteora was just another constant product, tool, like the other AMMs, I think execution on Solana would be far worse.
Makes sense. I got this great tweet up, and I just kind of want to touch on it a little bit. And of course, this is Molu's experience, so his results don't equate to everyone else's results on the platform. But we see that general trading terminals, general traders, it's a losing game. Lots of traders lose. I think up to 90% of traders lose. That's not quite the case with Meteora. And I think people don't understand it's a completely different way to look at trading. Moreover, you're looking at where is volume going to be? Can I take advantage of facilitating that volume rather than I'm taking a directional position on a token? And I think most people miss that, although you can take directional positions on tokens as well. But can you maybe walk me through some of the experience you see the LP Army have in terms of their win rate increasing using Meteora compared to the average trader?
That would be very interesting stats to find out. But I don't have those numbers on me right now. But anecdotally, what we are seeing is that we're able to, when you expand your options from just buy and sell to providing liquidity to where volume is most, it increases your surface area for success. All trading is probabilistic, right? But LPing is a higher probability game because you're not betting on a singular outcome. You're betting on a range of outcomes that you can then design as you like. I think that's the.
I'll add another anecdote to this is also the style of trading allows for you to kind of want a meme coin to go down so that the price comes into your liquidity range. So let's say you're providing like a bid-ask spot strategy, just soul side only. You basically are looking for a chart that's absolutely ripped on high volume that has the potential to come back and range in your liquidity range. And if you're doing bid ask, that means that the least amount of liquidity is at the top of the price with the meat of your liquidity more at the bottom of your range. So you're betting that price is going to come down. So from a trading mindset standpoint, on one half, there's traders that are chasing the price action, that are bidding up the chart, and they're betting it to go up. But we know that meme coins, often 99% of them are coming down. So as a liquidity provider, you're like, okay, I want to start at the top of this range and I want to fill in and range all the way down to the bottom, which is exactly what meme coins do. So I think, you know, if you've never provided liquidity, go to right here. Boom. This is it. Go to meteor.ag-ref-mcg, go set it up and go try it. Like put one soul in, just try a trade. The first time I really understood providing liquidity in this way was putting trades on and seeing how I was making money. So yeah, it's more of a psychological shift in the trading mindset also that I think contributes to good win rates as well.
Absolutely. All right, Pranav, let's get into some of the numbers. Of course, you're the numbers guy. So I have some tweets pulled up. Let's maybe walk through some high level of what you're seeing and maybe just touch on some of those numbers. Of course, you did a full video and a full report on the main Meteora account, which people should go and watch. But let's just walk through it on our end here. And so I'm going to pull up some stuff if you bear with me. All right. Perfect. So walk me through what you guys are seeing and what some of the numbers are looking like. I got this tweet pulled up. I think we'll start here at the top. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. The July numbers. Okay. Maybe walk me through what you're seeing here. Of course, $3.9 billion in total volume, which is down slightly month over month. 21.9% total fees, which is up 25% month over month. Interesting that the volumes are slightly down, yet fees are up so significantly, as well as total revenue being up about equal to the fees. Maybe walk me through some of the reasoning behind this and what you guys saw in July.
Yeah, dude, July was so internally we keep a track on the age of pools, right? So how old the median pool is. What we're seeing over the past like 2-3 months, and specifically over the last 3 weeks, was the age of pools are getting shorter and shorter. This just means that there's so much more activity coming in. Again, this is not like some insane indicator. This is just a second order derivative indicator. So it's not super like prophetic, but it's still something that shows that, you know, like underlying activity is picking up. Yet even though the Solana the space in July kind of slowed down, we still ended up generating much more fees for our users. And this is because dynamic fees, right? They kick in with volatility. So even though volumes are down, there's a lot more volatility in these tokens, and that kind of generates a lot more fees for us. So again, it is just a testament to our tech generating positive win rates for our users, even when the overall ecosystem is down.
Got you. Okay, and then next here we have, let's see, yeah, taking a deeper look at revenues over the last 3 months. Okay, so kind of talking about Q2 here. LP pool revenue was 2.6 million versus 1.9 million. So you guys have increased that, whereas Launchpad partner revenue was slightly lower than June. Any comment on these numbers?
Yeah, Launchpad revenues will always be our like episodic, super cyclical revenues, right? Suddenly you'll get a January type revenues where you get 5 million in revenues just from Launchpads, and it'll just slow down, right? So that's never something that we depend on. Our core product is always the DLMM, our liquidity provision. But on the side, we'll always, you know, through MetEco, through Vesper's efforts, we'll constantly like try to like amp up builder efforts so that they build and launch through Solana Launchpads, sorry, Meteor Launchpads. And all of that kind of accrues value back to our users. Because at the end of the day, when these tokens launch, they are most probably being DLMM'd by our users on Meteor, right? So it's a beautiful cycle.
Love it. And this is an exciting one. You guys went live with your staking program. And I think a lot of people were asking, what kind of utility does Met have? How can we get value from this? This is literally, at least for the first 3 months or 2 months, you guys are giving 20% of your cut of the fees, I believe, to stakers. Maybe talk me through the staking program and the results you're seeing on paper.
Yeah. So the main idea for the referral staking program was to reward power users who are also like huge like fans that proselytize about Meteora to their friends and family, right? These are the users that we should be rewarding with an extra cut, right? So that's what the referral staking does. So when someone creates a referral code and then distributes it out, it generates more fees for the protocol, and therefore that extra goodness should kind of flow back to these referrers and referees, right? So what we're seeing right now, just before token like pumped like 20% today, we were looking at 15% in APR USDC incentives, not not inflationary rewards, but USDC that goes straight to our users in addition to their staking rewards. So we're trying to kickstart a flywheel. It's been good, like 76 million staked. So that brings our float down to like 20%, 23%, which is great.
Wow.
But now what we need to see over the 3 months is, does this retention stay, right? Do these new users who come in referred, all these fresh wallets, do they stay? Do they generate fees? Or are they just like once and done, right? So this is the type of user behavior that we want to see. So we're looking at this as customer acquisition cost, what we pay out versus what we get, right? So that's what's important. Because when we get more, it just means that there's more volumes and fees flowing through our protocol.
Happy to share the pie if you can grow it, right?
Yeah. And I actually want to ask about this because this data point really stuck out to me. So we were talking before about being positive EV for trading. And one of the biggest numbers I thought that was really interesting is this 35 cents per $1 of TVL. Now, as a trader, you have your finite capital, you have your $1, and directionally you can take that and bet, a 50% up, 50% down on a token for your $1. So you may earn $1.50 if you close a trade successfully, or you have 50 cents left if you close it unsuccessfully. Now you can also do that with DLMing. You can still take those directional bets. However, you're earning this kind of extra 35 cents of edge on average across all the TVL provided. So this is, I don't know if, we've talked about this kind of at length, but I think for traders, and I want to hit home this mindset, is that you have that 35 cents of edge for every dollar that you provide on average. So I don't know if you have any comment there or thoughts.
No, again, it goes back to what we were talking about, right? Like trading is probabilistic, right? You have to like match your risk to reward. LPing is just that, but you're skewed towards a positive returns because the game is longer and it's easier to bet against a wider range of outcomes versus trading, where it's much more like it's much harder to like have win scenarios.
Yeah, and the second data point and this is more to your, I don't know if you want to call this market share or performance as a protocol, but the Meteor share of Solana SPA has gone from 6.7% in Q1 to 8.1%. So 140 BIP increase in 3 months, quarter over quarter. Can you just speak to what you think is driving this improvement in market share?
I think a lot of that comes from our tokenized equities, right? So yeah, we did a small deep dive on like why we gain market share. It's a lot of that comes from tokenized equities and the volumes and fees that we're able to generate for our users from there. At the end of the day, and of course, meme coin volumes have been slowly ticking up over the last quarter. So that's basically meme coins and tokenized equities just coming back to Solana.
Awesome. I one more little piece of data that I want to pull up here. You talk about, obviously you're leading investor relations and you have a great IR page here, the liquidity backbone of Solana. Maybe talk me through just general protocol performance. Over here, you had the MET token buybacks. And I think I actually want to touch on, MET token and where that plays into the system. You guys have spent nearly $14 million buying back the token, acquired 4%, which equates to 37.37 million MET. When we talked to Soju and spoke with him, he was very clear about the direction of Meteora not having like an equity component versus a on-chain component. Like all value is essentially going back to the protocol and the MET token. Has anything changed with the recent shifting around of leadership at Meteora?
Absolutely nothing has changed, right? So we really thank what Soju has done. He has heralded us right, through very, very like challenging times, and kind of like delivered a winning protocol to our users today, right? And he's taking a step back, but none of that changes what our core mission is, which is to deliver a world-class product to our users. And we have so many things that's coming up since then, right? Towards that goal. And when it comes to like how we drive value back to our users, nothing changes, right? Buybacks will continue to remain discretionary. When we realize that, we need to like double down on growth, that's where our revenues are being recycled into, right? So staking and referral, it's a perfect way to show that, we can drive value back to the token, but do it in a way that, net brings in more users. So that's the pros and cons that we have here. So yeah, that's clearly what I want to say. Yeah.
With this also, I remember under the section there was a spot for the treasury. At one point you had 40 million in the treasury. I think last I checked it was like 25 million. That's no longer on the page. Is there any reason for that not being on the page? And how are you guys thinking about using that treasury? If you want to kind of elaborate on some of the growth opportunities that you guys are seeing and how you're using and deploying that capital.
Yeah. So the reason why we had to remove the treasury numbers was because just in the last like 2 to 3 months, all we've been seeing, not all we've been seeing, but we've been seeing so many cases of hacks and protocol exploits. And that kind of like rattled us. It's not to say that we don't have appropriate measures in place. We do, but just showing that this is the number, come attack us. It is not how we should.
Here's our bank account. Try and figure out the password. Yeah,
exactly. Here are the wallet addresses. Here are exactly which chains what exists. It's not best practices, right? So the treasury is still safe. That 40 to 25 million that you saw, that 10 million outflow, it was just stage one and us trying to diversify and put these assets in different types of like cold, hot, custodians, everything, right? So that we have a more diverse surface area for like attacks, or less diverse at least. So that's the main reason. And at the end of the day, our revenue is still going into the treasury, which will be then used for growth. Of the 500K that we pledged for growth back in Q1, we've already spent 50K, right, in a month, right? So that 50K was used for community events and also for the SpaceX bounty on chain that we did to incentivize people to trade the SpaceX and DLMM, the SpaceX token on Meteora. So this is what we intend to do. That 500K is obviously not like a stop. Like we will not spend more than 500K. That's just to show our commitment. Anything above, obviously, will still go back into the protocol.
Yeah, and I know we just talked a bunch about OPSEC and not like letting everyone know the internal financial statement. But I mentioned you guys had $40 million in the treasury. There's a $10 million outflow. You said that was just part of your like diversification to make sure everything's secure and safe. Do you have an idea on the figure of what sits in the treasury today? Are you able to share that?
I think we will hold back on sharing that. But if you look at Q1's report and the annual report, you'll see our monthly cash flows. It's been steady, right? So we haven't aggressively expanded. Our costs are predominantly the same. So it's been status quo. We are cash flow positive every month. So there's not a worry that, we are like burning cash flow. We are still generating cash flows in excess of our expenses.
Okay, very, very nice. Let's kind of pivot here and talk Bedrock. Bedrock's something really exciting that you are, basically taking the lead on and doing a lot of work for. Can you talk us through Bedrock and just like what the future of that looks like? Maybe enlighten some people on what Bedrock is.
Yeah, so maybe a quick TLDR of what Bedrock is. So Bedrock is a way for tokens to be issued by founders to raise capital against a portion of your equity, right? So I don't think this has been done in a durable way on chain before. Obviously, MetaDAO is a leading example in how in one way you can do it, which is Futaki, which is 100% market controlled actions. And the other side is Bedrock, which still allows you to have an equity component, because not every investor is comfortable with liquid tokens, right? So there's always a requirement for equity. And then there are protocols where Futaki completely works, right? So we are just targeting just the way how, our launchpads kind of target tokens that are not just meme coin tokens, which would go to pump, right? So there's a niche that exists, and our launchpad that build on us target that niche. Similarly, Bedrock targets a niche that's sitting beside the ownership tokens narrative that MetaDAO has created, right? So in talking to a lot of different funds and founders, what we are seeing is that they really appreciate how Bedrock is structured, because they allow VCs to come onto cap tables, at the same time allow raisers from you and me, from retail on chain, right? So that's what Bedrock allows you to do. The way we do it is through very smart legal infrastructure, which essentially places a third-party ownerless foundation, the Bedrock Foundation, on your cap table, right? And then the tokens become the only way to transact for the equity that the foundation owns, right? So, in TLDR, it is a way for founders to raise capital against their equity on chain through a token launch.
Interestingly enough, you highlight I was muted, my apologies. Interestingly enough, you highlight the special projects, under a section in this report that you just put out, and we actually see Aeon and Trace on there. We just had Aaron on the other day from Aeon, so ironically, this kind of works really, really well. Talk me through, I guess, give me a practical example of how Bedrock steps in and works with someone like, Aaron from Aeon.
Yeah, so in Aeon's case, what happens here is that they already have a token, right? So Bedrock still allows you to incorporate a company. So what we did was we incorporated a company for him. And then against 20% of his equity, we placed the Bedrock Foundation, right? So now the token, his Aeon token, is tagged against 20% of the equity, right? So anytime, if anyone comes to acquire a portion or all of the Aeon tokens, they, in essence, are able to exchange those tokens for the 20% equity. Right. So this is how we are able to. So this is for a token that already launched. Then for Trace, it is a token that was actually launched after incorporation. Right. So they launched through Startup Fund, and then they raised 15K, and then they incorporated through us. Today, if you go to bedrockfoundation.org, you'll see 2 more companies that have incorporated through us. Right. Startup Fund themselves have incorporated through Bedrock, and Decentralized Compute. So they are a company that does compute related things on chain, right? So they've also incorporated through Bedrock, and I think they raised 115K, if I'm not wrong, and they are going it against 3 or 5% of their equity, if I'm not wrong. So Bedrock allows any different mode of companies and token ownership to come to have a entity incorporated for them.
I love it. We do have to start gearing towards wrap. So maybe you could kind of start closing me off with just general idea of, direction Meteor is heading, what you guys are seeing. We're starting to see volumes come back. And of course, Meteor has been incredibly resilient through the last year of this bear market. But we know with volumes, Meteor just becomes a whole different beast and takes it to another level. You guys have worked through the bear market and grinded. What comes next here as we kind of shift into a different season as volumes come back?
We have so many things in the pipeline for our users. The Meteor product toolset is going to expand considerably over the next 6 to 9 months. I did promise some alpha in the tweet for this, and the big news here is that we just got off the product call, the design call today, and we're going to have a new DLMM program, and this new DLMM program is going to be servicing an area of crypto that hasn't been serviced adequately by on-chain AMMs, right? I'm going to leave it there, because if I say anything else, I'm going to be taken to the back and shot. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like that.
What can you be talking about? Because memes are covered, equities are doing good. All right. All right.
So we have with that said, I was really excited to talk about that. We've also planned to really expand how useful the underlying product set is. So the dynamic terminal, it only is for DLMM. It's going to expand to DMV2. There are going to be expansions to the current toolsets like APIN and ZapOut, how quick they are. Small things that make the quality of life improvements on Meteor much better. Right?
Yeah, ZapOut is a great feature where you can just kind of get out of a position, swap if you have the meme token into whatever the quote token is, and it's a quick way to get out. I want to ask real quick before we leave you here is on DBC, any updates on just your Launchpad offering and what people can look out for there?
So our new DLMM Pro would also have something to say about the DBC side of things. But today, as it is, DBC is one of the most utilized programs by all of our launchpads. they really adore it to bits, and we are constantly shipping out updates, minuscule updates that our Launchpad partners are using. DBC is here to stay, is what I would say. Yeah.
Got you. Well, that all sounds good. I had one last question, but it's kind of slipped my mind here. Yeah, no, I guess we'll hold off. I will ask though about just like one last comment on these numbers. We saw H1, of course, or not H1. We saw over the last 12 months. These are the numbers: 98, nearly $100 billion total volume, $555 million total fees, 50 million protocol revenue, and protocol revenue divided by circulating float at 0.2. Could you talk me through just the last 12 months of protocol performance and, what you expect the next 12 months to look like?
I think like the first half of like H1 2026, we did 18 million in revenues, right? So obviously that protocol revenues number, a lot of it is backloaded. A lot of it was from a stellar H2 2025, right? But given that we are seeing volumes come back, I think H2 2026 is going to be well over north of like 25 millions, right? So that's like at least like 2 to 3 million in revenues per month that going forward. And if we are able to pull off the daunting like new product launch that I spoke about, I think that number goes up as well.
I have a question from Crypto Jones in the chat. Why not have price point triggers for Zap Out? This is a feature I want to know about as well.
Price point triggers for Zap Out. So would a limit order not work here?
I mean, I don't think so, because when you're doing DLMMs and it gets to the bottom of your range, I would like it just to close the position.
Okay.
Right. And sell all of it, right? Rather than limit orders or filling my position.
Right. So just in a few days, we'll be doing a few updates to alerts. So Meteor alerts. So when any of these events that you spoke about happen, they will be alerted through Meteor alerts. And a next logical step there is, okay, sure, I've been alerted. Can I also automate a take profit or stop loss on entry or exit based on these alerts? And again, that's something that's in the works. So I think that's a problem that we'll have a solution to.
There we go, Crypto Jones.
I got one last question. It came back to my mind with a Crypto Jones comment. He asks, another thing I'd like to see is the ability to create pools of tokens that aren't Solana native. We see Robinhood's kind of blown up. We see a lot of volumes there. What's your thinking? Are you guys looking to position in other chains at all, or are we sticking to Solana?
Solana is our bread and butter. We love Solana, and we are the most bullish fans of Solana from day one, right? Ride or die Solana. No plans yet for Robinhood or any other chains. But again, if these tokens pop off, Sunrise will do a great job of bringing them over, and then you can DLMM over them on Meteor.
I love it. I think that's a great way to close it out. Josh, if you have anything left,
no,
maybe feel free to drop it. But for now, this has been a fantastic conversation. We, of course, are incredibly bullish on Meteora and thankful for Meteora, because really our journey it probably would have been ended a long time ago without the support that Meteora gave us in the early days. So incredibly thankful for the Meteora team and Soju, and you guys are continuing to crush it. So we appreciate you coming on.
We love you guys as well. Thanks for adding me to Discord. I have never made this much money in my life. I'm kidding.
Let's go. All right.
Oh, head of IR. I love that. Meteor.
See you, brother.
From Pranav. See you, man. Thanks so much for joining.
All right. That was cool. I mean, yeah, we talk about a resilient business in crypto. It's just, it is Meteora. You look up in the dictionary of resilient crypto business and you look at Meteora's investor relation page, and it's side by side. So great conversation. I'm so excited. Again, volumes are starting to come back. We've been chewing glass. Meteora's been chewing glass. It's time to
it's
really
crazy also to see the valuation of Meteora versus there's entire crypto products, individual products that are valued at that valuation, let alone Meteor is like an entire infrastructure, which is crazy. So
yeah, I mean, again, back we showed the last 12 months revenue, which is 50 million. Man, back in last year, over the entirety of the last year's 12 months, I think it's 120 million. So like we see where things can get. It gets silly when volumes go up, and nonetheless, guys, we got Nate in the waiting room from Long, and I believe he, and I got to queue up some stuff for him as well, Josh. So I'll let you lead us off. But we got Nate in the waiting room from Long, and of course, AI has been absolutely blowing up. They've kind of adopted this as the ecosystem token. We've seen they've added some additional utility to it. Of course, this is in tandem with Vlad Tenev just continuing to say RWAs are the future. We want to make this as accessible as possible, and we love tokenized RWAs. And of course, Long XYZ was the first people to facilitate that, and we're seeing that represented in, of course, the AI token kind of leading every time Vlad talks about it. So get him back up here for the update. If you guys want the full interview, you can find that on MCG. You can find that on our YouTube. You can search on the MCG Twitter account. But this is more of an update, just talking about where we're at, talking about the AI token, and some updates that Nate's maybe kept in his back pocket that he's ready to share with us today. Before doing that, I want to remind you guys, if you're looking to raise, there's no better place than MetaDAO. $45 million raised amongst their platform users. You guys can go and check that out. And of course, if you're a trader, they give you true ownership, just like Meteor gave you, the equity side of ownership. MetaDAO gives you another version of ownership, and you can own the actual underlying assets as a token holder. Very valuable stuff. Very cool. With that said, Nate from Long XYZ, welcome back to the show. Timing is impeccable. You guys are doing crazy. And I think, we can't hear you. Okay, all good. If you wanna jump out, get back in here, we can hold off for a minute or two.
Can you hear me now?
We can, yeah. Beautiful living room. I love the grand piano in the back.
So many guests live in this exact house. You guys almost live together. What's going on?
Yeah, do you have roommates with like 3 of the guests we had on this week? No, but I can see, you're doing well. You've upgraded from the apartment with the mattress on the floor to the grand piano. So clearly you've done something right with Long XYZ, man. Welcome back to the show. We want some updates today. What's cooking?
Yeah, excited to be here. I'm literally in a hotel room, and I set up, a small office inside of the room. So I have like my desktop here, my monitor and so on. But yeah, you always have to keep, sipping and executing even when you're traveling, so to speak. So yeah, I'm super excited, super grateful about the tremendous progress that we made with Long. I think since my last time being here. We have also pretty exciting release we are scheduling for today. So maybe I will share about it, I don't know, like at the middle of the call, let's see. But yeah, I'm super excited. I think we are kind of in a very interesting place, right? When we were launching Long, so the first few days were a bit hard, right? They were challenging. We kind of had to bootstrap our own attention from 0 to 1. Then, we kind of got carried out by this huge wave of Robinhood getting so much attention, the listing of Cashcat and so on. So we kind of got so much attention that it was almost unsustainable at that point. And obviously it followed by every single chain, almost every single, not every single protocol, but many different apps trying to adopt our standard, which personally I was very excited about that. But I think now after we are looking on an asset like AI, which by the way is, it's older than 1 month, it's running for 1 month. I think people are starting to realize that Long is literally a long-term game that we are trying to play. It's not a small gimmick that we made just to make memes slightly better. There is a deep alignment, deep infrastructure, support that we are trying to provide here to actually make this vision into reality. And I'm very excited to see Robinhood and Vlad. It was for me very inspirational looking at them yesterday at the press conference at the White House.
You weren't at the White House yesterday by chance, were you?
No. I'm not there yet, but hopefully in a few months maybe.
You didn't write the script for Vlad before he got up and gave his presentation?
No, surprisingly not, but this is exciting, right? Like I think, imagine you're seeing the founder of a 100 billion company, which by the way, it's not about crypto. Robinhood is not about crypto, they're about retail brokerage. And he's getting, one of the most impressive spotlights out there, speaking with POTUS, with the president, right, behind him. And like 80% of the speech is just about tokenization of real world assets and how tokenization will help American companies, Americans in general. So for me, it was like, okay, if my goal is to figure out how long is in deep alignment with Robinhood and maybe institutional players and maybe market makers, Vlad is, playing much bigger game with making sure he's in alignment with the administration and, the American people. So I'm very, very excited, to see kind of this, I guess, like multi-dimensional alignment game. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, Vlad's done a great job aligning with, of course, the United States administration. You've done a great job aligning with what Vlad's looking for. Maybe we start this at the top. Of course, we've had you on the show before, so we're not going to do a full breakdown of what AI is, but maybe it just starts at the top with your background. What is Long XYZ? And then we can start talking about some of these updates.
Yeah, so my background, I'm coming from very technical background. I've studied computer science and I've joined crypto, I think like around 4 or 5 years ago. And my main thing was always, I would say almost like mechanism design. I try to figure out how can I use the crypto infrastructure, especially, I guess, financial mechanisms to build and structure new markets. So Long is something that I've been working on, I think, for almost like 1 year or 1 year and a half, which essentially we're trying to figure out new ways to launch assets, which we find to be unique and net new assets. So we were focusing on figuring out fundraising. Later on, we were working on a couple of unique mechanisms. The pairings that we did, we actually, have quite experience with it. So we did it almost like 8-10 months ago with normal assets, not just stocks. And very quickly I realized, okay, if I can pair with stocks, this is kind of the holy grail of building those new market structures. So was waiting patiently for almost 8 months to see at least one big EVM chain that is kind of, fast. You can do that on it and mainnet. That will provide the option to build with RWS to essentially pair them, create a market when you can denominate a new asset in NVIDIA or any other stock. And yeah, we launched a month ago. Since then, we had, I think, more than 130 million in total RWA volume. Yeah, so I think, which is, by the way, also like, I think 20% of the entire volume of the RWA activity on Robinhood. Yeah.
You mentioned you were at 130 million. Back when you posted this, it was at 118 million, it looks like. So you guys have grown, additional 13 million since that point. How has the growth been in terms of volume that you've been seeing?
So I would say right now the volume is not like the chain is coming back, but the volume is not as significant as it was, I think, a few weeks ago across the chain, not just on Long.
Sure.
So sometimes you can grow by 50% within a few days. I mean, even on those big numbers, and sometimes it will be 10 to 20 weekly growth rate. I'm mostly also excited about just seeing how our kind of product considerations actually made an impact. So when we were just launching with Long, I put like almost like as a default options, okay, you can still launch with with the USDG or ETH, like just a normal launch. And many tried that back then because they didn't understand how stock pairings works. And now I'm essentially seeing almost like 0 ETH pairs, like literally no one even creates them on our platform. So I feel like we are making progress, to build like really, really good, product experience around that. And almost every new pair that we are listing or almost new, I guess, like exciting stock, like Moderna is a good example. I try to list it like instantly when I saw, the news. Instantly, people are creating assets on top of that, trying to leverage this, this interesting price increase, right? Because Moderna went up by 170, I think, yesterday. So it's so exciting, right? Like everyone were excited. Oh, it went up by 20%. Well, the stock market is so big. There is probably something that even can go higher than it on the best.
Curing cancer, it goes a long way.
Yeah. And I would say, we should be prepared for many of those, incredible achievements now with AI and kind of, this pre-AGI type of narrative that we are seeing on the stock market. Yeah.
Can you do me a favor? I have a tweet where you guys talk about this expansion you've made to AI. I remember when we first had you on, AI was the leading runner on your platform. I think since then, it feels like it's kind of been adopted as the ecosystem token. Number one, would you agree with that statement? And number two, can you walk me through kind of just some of this expansion that you've touched on?
Yeah. So I think this is part of the bigger vision here. Vlad yesterday he was talking about potentially single side option of tokenized equities and stock with American user base, and people don't realize that within 2 months, like I'm in the details, I'm seeing it. Essentially, prediction, right? Bold prediction that hopefully I will help to make into reality. But I think in 2 months, the standard way, the most common way we will see on-ramping into the blockchain, into Robinhood for that matter, will be people bridging their assets from let's say Schwab or any broker account, literally their NVIDIA shares or stocks, and they will bridge them into Robinhood. That will be the most common way to on-ramp. It will be the cheapest one. It will be the easiest one. It will bring the most interesting crowd, actually, because stock traders, it's not like they are trading very differently from crypto people. Like everyone are trading with the same patterns. Obviously, it depends on your time horizon. So when you are realizing that, NVIDIA, for example, it's a 70 billion flow generator asset, like retail generated over 70 billion in NVIDIA flows for the past year. Think about just 1% out of that. We are talking about 700 million in flows that, if we can capture into the right assets and we have assets that are stable, then it can be not the 0 to 1 moment, but 1 to 1,000 moments.
So I want to understand the trading dynamic here, because I think traditionally we've always thought I take my dollars and I buy NVIDIA stock and now I'm holding it, but really there's nothing you can do with it at that point. What you're maybe betting on or thinking is people say, hey, like I want a bit of leverage on that. I might use my NVIDIA stock now that's on Robinhood. I can, stake as collateral, borrow against it. I can then also do this other cool thing that I've heard everyone talk about, which is participating in meme coin trading, which we know is a big utility for crypto. Like, is this the big theme here where NVIDIA stock is bridged on chain from the brokerages that you mentioned, and then they can get a little bit of leverage, use it to speculate, et cetera, et cetera?
Definitely. I think, again, memes are a great way to bootstrap, liquidity, because at the end of the day, right, if you want to bootstrap 20 or 30 million worth of NVIDIA into a new market, you need to have attention, right? You need to kind of build conviction of people around that. I do think, how to think about utility and whether, you can kind of spin those new markets as slightly more institution based, like, for example, compute denominated in NVIDIA or those sort of things that will be slightly more sophisticated. But I would say memes, even in their, very simple form can get us very far, right? Like Master, for example, is essentially a meme for Bitcoin, if you think about that, right? The trick here is that, okay, they were able to get access into new type of crowd, but it's the same idea, right? We kind of want to accumulate as much of, Bitcoin reserve as we can. This is how we create leverage and become, kind of a significant, let's call it like a market participant, or our stakeholders becoming market participants. So I think something like AI, especially, when this large scale onboarding will start, can transform into, hopefully much better version, the centralized version of what Master is for strategies for Bitcoin. We'll do the same thing with NVIDIA. So yeah, going back to the point, I would say we are putting a lot of effort, me personally also, to make sure AI can keep growing, that we will see more users, more trust kind of flowing into it, and also that it's in such a deep alignment with Robinhood and the entire vision that, to the point, anything, exciting happening, whether it's like real flows actually entering or, narrative wise, when we see something like the press conference yesterday, AI would leverage that in some way or another. So yeah, I think it's
can you talk me through Can you maybe talk me through then the dynamics of AI here? I see 50% of fees generated are used to reduce the circulating supply of AI. I'm assuming this is buybacks. Can you maybe walk me through like how this fits into the ecosystem?
Yes, so the expansion was a very interesting thing. Like, couple of, I think it was like week 4 or week 3 into AI launch, we were able to get into a point where AI had like a few hundreds of K, which were kind of really deep and sustainable within of NVIDIA backing the asset. And I started thinking about the idea, okay, if AI is effectively the biggest NVIDIA pair out there, and it got so big to the point that the AI NVIDIA pool is the second most active pool or the most active pool on Robinhood in terms of NVIDIA, and also the third most liquid one, or second, like it depends on the day. Why not thinking about AI as almost like an NVIDIA proxy? Like effectively, it's an NVIDIA proxy because of the pairing. So you can also pair with AI directly, and the community is so big, people kind of generating memes on top of that. They want to support it. So the best way to support an asset like AI is, directly pairing with it. So it's a little bit like what Ansem did, and I think others started playing with the idea of pairings, but you need to really do it right. Like it's not easy. It's almost like market making. We don't market make the assets, but we can decide how the curve would look like to make sure it's actually sustainable and not just pumping dumping back into AI.
So this for an example here, if I wanted to launch a token, obviously I wouldn't launch a token, but if I wanted to launch a token, I could pair it against AI, and in essence, I have the exposure to AI and the ecosystem you've built at Long XYZ, plus the exposure that has created around NVIDIA. So I kind of have a 3 token system.
Exposure of exposure.
Right, exposure of exposure. Where do we go from there?
So in the case of AI, what we did also that was interesting there, effectively all the fees in AI, some portion goes to the creator, but all the other fees like the protocol fees and whatever, they're just instantly used to kind of buy back AI from the new pool pairs and lock it instantly. So this is also quite interesting, because people don't realize, and you can see it on the top assets right now on Robinhood. I think we are doing pretty fine because we have higher liquidity, but it's very easy to wamp and kind of kill the entire mechanism of any asset which relies on fees, because we can just set up other pools with lower fees or slightly more, kind of customized LP, and that's it. Like a pool that, I don't know, doing like reflections, taking like 3% tax and then sending it back to the users or something like that. Like it's so easy to set up another pool and just take all the vol, and this is how the mechanism is dying. So we started seeing something like that with AI, which I would say like the fees are not the main thing here, like we have so many of that, but we started seeing, additional pools taking some of the fees. So we were like, okay, how can we almost like internalize more of this value? So pairing is a great example, like, because you cannot you cannot set 20 different pools for any new pair that is getting out there. And the fee capture on the pairs is kind of in addition to the fee capture that we have on the main AI pool. So it's a very, elaborate game. Like I wouldn't say adversarial. This is just how incentive works in crypto. People will try to build better LPs, better pools to capture more value. And you need to play very, very kind of intelligent game to understand how you can capture more and more and more value. Whatever we did on week 1 wouldn't work on week 2 or on valuation X when it was, valuation Y. Like things are shifting very, very fast. So we are trying to kind of, keep up with the pace. But yeah, I'm very excited about the pairings. I think we saw on the first day of the pairings, we saw so much, like it was almost like 2 million in buy pressure going back to AI, and so much, so much liquidity being locked as well. I think like the effective, like I called it, like it's almost like running 24/7 TWAP effectively, which compound the liquidity, because you're also burning a little bit of AI and also you're locking it in new pools. And with our really deep design, I think at peak we almost lock like 200K worth of AI like within like 2 hours or something like that.
Wow.
So yeah,
these are crazy numbers. I mean, and maybe even talk me through some of this, because you mentioned, the thinking behind this was we pretty much are dominating the circulating supply 20% of the entire circulating supply of NVIDIA stock token is locked in long. Can you maybe walk me through some of these numbers? Because again, AI becomes a NVIDIA backed asset for the most part, and you guys have deep liquidity there. Maybe walk me through some of these numbers that you've seen with just AI, the token, and what that's meant for NVIDIA.
Yeah. So I think you also showed another image, but I should actually make it. But my biggest fear day one with Lon wasn't actually if the stock pairings would work mechanistically. It was mostly about liquidity issues. Like I wasn't sure if you will have enough liquidity to support the scale of the asset. So you can see it on the on this chart here. That was on July 14. We were launching just back then, and I think we had like 3 or 4 days of like activity, like it was like 2 or 3 million, something like that, nothing crazy. And then you see the graph almost like going vertical. So what people don't realize, and again, this is where I think some protocols should be very grateful for what we did. But before Lon was launching, there was almost no on-chain DEX liquidity for stocks. Like you couldn't find a good quote on Uniswap. I think you were mostly people probably will route it through 0xRFQ or Rialto, which is like prop AMM. So you couldn't actually get access to liquidity on something like Uniswap or any other DEX on chain. And when Long launched our pairings, which we had a couple of really major stock assets, it was just exploding. So we bootstrapped so much liquidity, and then we got into a pretty good point. Yeah.
On this, this has not gone unnoticed, I think, on Vlad Tanev's part or Robinhood's end. I don't know how much you can talk about this, and I'll let you answer the question how you would like to, but like, do you foresee a future, and what would the dynamic look like if, like CashCat, AI was, mature and said, hey, this hits all our core KPIs for Robinhood. We're going to list this. We think it's the right asset to have on the platform. What happens to the token and that ecosystem in a scenario like that? Like, assuming it would drive a lot of on-chain volume, of course. But what do you think that day looks like in the way you would like to respond?
Yeah. So, I'm thinking about it. I think we are one of the, our market cap is slightly, it's not as big as other assets, but we are, in some days, I think we were like top 3 or the second most liquid asset on chain, which is important because this means, stability. Like any, rally that we have on the asset is like hard earned, like it's not easy to get there. So I think at the moment, a major catalyst like a listing will kind of take place. It will be extremely interesting, to see how sustainable we can get. Potentially, it can be more sustainable than CashCat, which is also quite liquid, but not as liquid as AI. But I would say one thing, like for me, this is just more fuel, right? Like it's like the end goal is not, okay, we will get a listing or we will get X or we will reach, like 100 million or 200 million market cap. We want, we want to achieve much bigger vision. For me, it means that, like Moonshot, for example, their big moment was the Trump kind of, the Trump coin. For Meteora as well. I want to make sure that AI will be almost like the Trump coin of RWA assets, like something really, really big, not, sustainable, much more sustainable, hopefully, but something that, it can be almost like a legendary generational asset that people will go back to, in 2 or 3 years. So that's my goal. Like more fuel to it will be great, but it won't be the end goal of it, just, getting X or Y. So, yeah.
Yeah, Nate, I want to start gearing towards updates as we're coming up on time here. But before you do that, I want to ask, clearly, at some capacity, you've got to be on Robinhood's radar. I mean, you talked about owning 20% of the liquid float of the NVIDIA tokenized asset. You guys have driven a ton of volumes. What does the relationship today look like with Robinhood? Are you guys in discussions, communications? Do they see what you guys are doing? Are they paying attention?
So yeah, I mean, maybe you can, like, I'm not sure what I already shared on my X or on our previous stream, but I would say now I can't say much about that for for confidential reasons. Let's say so. So I can't say much, but I'm very happy to kind of leveraging whatever technology infrastructure support that Robinhood is offering. So that will be it.
We're journalists. We have to ask.
Yeah, obviously, and.
Well, let's you came on here, you put out a tweet, you said we got some exciting stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, let's hear it. What are some of the updates? What are you guys working on? What should the people be excited about?
Okay. So this is actually big. I think probably the biggest technical achievement that we had so far. The idea behind Long is that we kind of want to capture as much innovation, much kind of flows, much volume that we can from the entire RWA category. So for the last few weeks, we've been working on a very exciting pilot with the Lighter team. Lighter is a perp exchange, ZKL2 on top of Robinhood. And we have a POC that probably we will release today. Hopefully, there are some changes that will essentially enable to create tokenized spot assets for leveraged position, meaning people will be able to trade on Long, on other places, and also build on top of that, on top of something like ERC20, NVIDIA 3X Long normal asset. So this is quite big. It was very, very hard to do it. Very hard. Like I had another engineer working on that, and also the Lighter team, which was incredible. So it's going to be very exciting. Yeah.
This is pretty crazy. I mean, not many people can say they have a relationship with Lighter and are working directly on integrating their perps to the platform. Of course, Lighter being a launch partner of Robinhood as their perp exchange of choice. So you're saying, potentially in the near future, I can go on Long and I can pair a token against NVIDIA, but instead of just spot asset, I can actually trade it and pair it against a leveraged position, a leveraged equity.
That's one of the use cases. I would say pairing with perps is interesting. This is something that we wanted to do as well. Especially like sometimes you want to get like more flexibility. You want to have slightly different liquidity curve design, which we can do really well. So you can think about that. If you were able to generate so much activity on Robinhood RWAs, can we make the same thing on Lighter, right? Like drive so much volume to that side. So again, goes back into alignment, into figuring out cool technical angles that we can leverage and, kind of go all in on that. But yeah, this is one layer to it. Now, the question is, okay, so, but how potentially value goes back to the top pairs, right? So today, again, hopefully we would launch the first pilot. It will have, slightly capped mint, like we wouldn't allow too many mints. I would probably launch like an NVIDIA spot leveraged asset. And I kind of think about it almost like one of the first products on top of AI that will help to AI to do a bit better. So we will allocate certain portion, maybe all the fees we haven't figured it out, back to AI for buybacks or added liquidity.
From this Lighter relationship?
Yeah, from the leveraged kind of, like, because we'll have some fees on that, whether it's like the DEX, whether it's pairing, whether it's like the direct mints. So we'll just allocate it back to AI, I think. And we can do it also for other pairs down the line, right? Like if we will do Microsoft leverage, maybe we can do it for Clippy, or Micron leverage, we can do it to Move, which are some of our other top pairs, which I'm also trying to figure out how we can support. But, the liquidity is not infinite. So we need to make sure we are focusing. Yeah.
That's an incredible update. How long has that been in the works?
Not as long as people might think. I think like we got into a sprint of 1 week, I would say, where we had, already the white paper, the kind of the mechanism, and then we just needed some, clarifications and slightly better alignment with the Lighter team.
I love DeFi.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's incredible, and I think this is a bit of a moat here. Like, not everyone can say they can have a direct relationship with Lighter and are integrating their perps on the back end. We see this competition on the Launchpad side of Robinhood, and everyone's like, everyone's just copying everybody. The leaders are going to remain the leaders, but this is truly a moat. Would you say you think this is pretty much not possible to be copied for at least a near term future?
Will be almost impossible. Like, I mean, obviously, people can kind of work, but some of the stuff, it's almost like building a bridge, right? Like, we will essentially have a contract on Robinhood that is, think about it as like the router or minting contract. And this contract is controlling a lighter account on the ZKL2, which is lighter. It's like a ZKL2 on top of Robinhood. So we figured out a way to use ZK proofs in order to kind of make sure and prove that everything is kind of valid, like no one is messing out with the asset. And keep in mind, the actual unlock here is that many people just want to get leverage exposure to something like NVIDIA. We literally have ETFs in the stock market, which are just 2x, I don't know, big tech or 2x NVIDIA. But they don't want to handle with handling the options and perps themselves. So the innovation here is that the leverage is automatic. It's an auto-rebalanced leverage. It will always keep 2x ratio or 3x for that matter. And that's like the biggest unlock. So it will
and
be
you can't fork
kind of
liquidity and volume and motion either.
Yeah,
so.
You can't fork it and it's literally just V0. We have so much more coming just from this collaboration. It will go beyond just stocks. You can start composing with perps, right? Keep in mind that, for example, in the case of Hyperliquid, the spot is not as interesting as the HIP3, right? Yeah. The pre-IPO stuff, so many things, right? Like we can, we are starting to build our moat around how we can even compose.
The chat is loving this, by the way, Nate. I do have a question that Top Fumbler asked. Is he wanted to know, could the AI demand, let's say AI goes parabolic in an instant, like would the demand be so strong for liquidity on NVIDIA stock on chain? Like, is there a mechanism that it breaks kind of, I guess the NVIDIA then trades at a premium in that sense, or on the opposite end at a discount on chain? Like, how do you see the underlying market making liquidity? And obviously you went through this, there was one parabolic move, but just want to hear your thoughts there.
So yeah, what I've been seeing so far is that usually when the volume is becoming so high, there is a lot of competition over the order flow. So I did see a positive arbitrage from some of those different liquidity providers. Also imagine, right, like because it's an NVIDIA stock, so market makers, liquidity sources can hold an inventory of NVIDIA. Maybe they bought it, like 3 days ago or 7 days ago when it was slightly cheaper. So for them, even offering it now on, with a premium over the, the price on the real-time price on the stock exchange is still going to be profitable for them. Yeah. So this is something that I've been seeing. But I would say, right, like I always say that like manifest, almost like creating an asset that will be like right now we are, let's say, on the Robinhood radar. Maybe we can get on the radar of Jensen or, really big kind of players. Again,
that's a good goal.
Insane thoughts, but
AI plushie, send it to Jensen Huang, have it on CNBC. There we go.
Yeah, we need some guerrilla type of, ops, but step by step.
There's the law of seven steps or whatever it's called. I got that wrong, but it's you have a relationship to everyone within a few steps, and I guess your relationship to Robinhood puts you in pretty close proximity to Jensen Huang. So
hopefully.
Hey, who knows?
Blink a few times if true. No, I'm kidding. Crypto Jones has a question in the chat here. Are V4 hooks coming to long?
If V4 hooks coming to long?
Yeah, correct.
I guess.
We're already using V4 hooks, and we will keep improving them. We also have some ideas around custom, kind of building a bit more custom hooks, pushing it harder. But again, I think people don't realize that DEX hooks is almost like building your own exchange. So if you're messing it up and you're not going very deep into audits, it's like almost like, I don't know, like imagine like trying to build Uniswap V5 without going through enough audits. So it's not something that I think people should do too aggressively. But if you have good method, to make sure it works, yeah, why not? But I like to take like the safest approach here, I would say. Yeah.
I think to even elaborate further on that, Crypto Jones asks, the moment the on-chain NVIDIA decouples from the real thing, it ceases to be NVIDIA. That being said, higher fees during times of high volume makes sense, ? And of course, that's where you can plug in a V4 hook to potentially say if the oracle of the real NVIDIA differentiates from the on-chain NVIDIA, fees on our side are going to be much higher to kind of maybe accommodate for that or something. But would that be an application that makes sense?
Yeah, I think so. Or potentially, you can build like really good just main pools for NVIDIA, let's say USDG or NVIDIA 8, and then you can apply just on them some sort of correlated oracles. Like for example, you can track the parts of AI and make sure it kind of makes sense. And then in the case of if you want to enable better fees or something like that, so maybe it will have like dynamic fees when on the first stop from, let's say, USDG to NVIDIA, you won't pay fees, and then it will be cheaper for you. You can play, all sorts of ways, I think, around that, yeah.
Well, we absolutely love it. The chat, again, is coming in and showing support for you. They like what you're doing. That was a huge update with Lighter. Anything else you want to drop on our heads here before you leave that would just be juicy?
Not yet. Like I'm just trying to cook, fast enough to make sure we can get this initial POC and the white paper and so on today. So we will be fully ready to scale that next week even further. But probably, later today, people will be able to start minting or get those leveraged spot positions.
Wow, that's coming later today.
Yeah, hopefully. I again, like it's slightly, there's some, some updates on lighter side of things. So I'm it will be tricky, but yeah, I will try to, and usually I can commit, into those sort of things. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's exciting. I think we've already seen people start to front run it, Nate. So we appreciate you coming in here and dropping the alpha. I'm gonna start whipping our content team right now and say, get that clip out there. So you gotta start working fast, Nate. All right, the pressure's on.
And thank you, DeLong community. Bye.
Bye, guys. See you, Nate. Yo, that update's crazy, bro. That update's crazy, and the chart loves it. Look at that.
Wow. I mean, look, how many meme coins are launched every day, and then how many meme coin charts look like this after a month?
Yeah, this is insane. Josh, I'm not sure if we can get this out, but this should be priority 1 here. That's a pretty insane clip. He said by end of day, we might have these leverage positions live. Yo, chat. Yeah. The Clippers are going to go to work, bro. Our team's going to be working hard.
Honestly, clip this, guys. Clip this. Whoever's listening.
Don't front run us. But that's pretty crazy. I mean, if you were listening to this live stream, you got the alpha here first, and clearly the market's responding to that. So very nice chart. Again, partnership with Lighter. They were in communications with them, essentially trying to mimic what we saw the success being on Robinhood Spot. Can we do that for leverage positions as well? Of course, Lighter wants a piece of that. That's a bit of a moat right there. We talked about the Launchpad wars. That's huge. And of course, volume and fees, it looks like fees going back to buy back the AI token, which of course buys back, further deepens the liquidity of NVIDIA that's also paired with AI. So interesting concepts here. Nate is cooking, boys. Holy. Yeah, we like that. Any comments, Josh? I mean, there's a bunch of takeaways there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big ones was when the AI trade first kind of kicked off, like this is pre like memory and all these things. There was a stock that had the AI ticker, and for no reason other than it was just the AI ticker stock, it ran to like 10 billion. And I think Top Fumbler mentioned like it's one of the best tickers, of course. So I mean, I've owned this. Good. I regret selling it. I regret taking my profits. I've been punished. Yeah, this chart looks incredible.
Hey, make the sellers cope, as they say. So that was a pretty banging update. I think if they can do that, if they can do the leverage position pairings and no one else can really offer it, of course, they're going to be the only venue on Robinhood, and people are going to want to try new things. This is new change. People experiment. They want to try new things.
How does that work? I didn't fully understand that mechanism.
I guess we should have gotten to the risk engine of the whole thing. Yeah, but I mean,
like if I have $100 of AI, right? Is that then allow me to open $100 of NVIDIA long or short 10x maybe? And then if I get liquidated, does my AI get sold I mean, maybe that's
Yeah,
what
it would have to. It'd have to be a risk engine that, you know,
that's
even
crazy.
even applying fees, right? Fees and slippage, it'll have to monitor that before. If this
Yeah.
happened, this is what the fees and slippage would be. And so, yeah, you would have a liquidation if it got anywhere close. So if you did 3x long in NVIDIA and NVIDIA went down, 40%, I guess it would liquidate. So I don't know all the details there. I'm sure he's going to release more information on it soon, but yeah, pretty crazy. Adds a lot of layers of
you would know
volatility.
the liquidity depth of obviously the AI LP, and then the liquidity depth of NVIDIA's stock. So it'll be interesting. But the one challenge is NVIDIA's stock can gap up and down and stuff like that. So it's curious how that works. But yeah, why?
I'm sure we'll see in due time. I think that was a successful squeeze though. So yeah, happy with that. Nonetheless, let me start queuing up our next guest here because they're in the waiting room now. And of course, this is like real time. Today we're scrambling around. Like, we saw that we got the recent launch here and we're like, well, let's see what we can do to get the boys over here and get them on. So Work is a new product built by Spend. And I believe it's of course, Spend is a payments protocol allowing you to, spend your money if you didn't pick that up. But they've created something for the Ansem Claw Pump Hackathon, which is directing all fees back to, it looks like a real humanoid robot or some sort of robot to build out its own hardware and I guess grow from there. So not too sure on what exactly it is. It's brand new, but we're going to get the whole scoop here from our boys. So it looks like we're ready to go. I'll wait for, Kenton, can we get a thumbs up from you if you're good to go? All right, Kenton's good. JP, we're firing on all cylinders. I think JP's ready. Okay. Let's get the gang up here, man. Boys, welcome back. The guys from Spend. Of course, we've had you on during the Monkey DAO, the Monkey DAO demo day we did. You guys were cooking. We're back. Something new. Something's going on. Maybe start at the top quickly. Let's get some introductions and then we can jump straight into what everyone's excited about.
Go ahead, JP. Start us off.
Yeah. Well, as you said, good to see you guys again. I know we were on here the last time for the Monkey Foundry. But I'm JP. I'm one of the co-founders, COO. And then, this is my partner, Kenton.
Yes. Shit has been crazy.
Yeah, I've only slept maybe like an hour, the past
Well, I see happy birthday balloons. Is it your birthday or something today?
No, it was actually my sister's birthday. But yeah, I still got the balloons behind me.
There you go. It might feel like your birthday though. I'm sure there's a lot of volume and excitement happening right now amongst the Spend team.
Yeah. So that's been crazy. So really, this was not planned. This was I saw the post for the Ansem Hackathon, and I was like, we have the infrastructure for agents to do whatever they want as far as like e-commerce is concerned. And purchasing through stable coins and crypto and Sol. So I was like, we could start an agent. We could have it have it tokenized, have it use the trading fees to purchase GPUs, rent out the space for them, and then reinvest that money into buying hardware to build its own body, right? And so that's like the whole premise of this. So I actually just finished wiring up the Spend rails to the agent. It has its wallet. It's ready to go. It's ready to start buying things. It's picked out an NVIDIA rig, so it's ready to rock and roll.
So, okay, maybe we even walk it back so people kind of have a better idea of what Spend is and how this kind of ties into, this broader robot build out. But could you give a quick TLDR on what Spend is, how long you guys have been building, just everything people would need to know about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I got it. So actually next month is going to be a year since we officially launched. Actually, this time last year, we were at Mountain DAO and we were working on getting live and we submitted to the Salon Mobile Hackathon. And definitely a lot of things have happened since then. But what Spend is we're a stablecoin powered platform where we allow you to buy anything with your stablecoins. Recently, we released our extension and universal shopping within the Seeker app. So that means that you can shop from any store online directly with your stablecoins without needing to KYC or needing a card. You just shop directly from your wallet. And like the whole reason like we built this was, I mean, I've been in this space since 2020, and I've always wanted to be able to directly shop from my wallet. Like that's the most like Web3 native experience. And I mean, to this day, like there was nothing out there like it. Obviously we got crypto debit cards, crypto gift cards, which are great options as well. But yeah, I mean, not everybody can KYC, or you know, there's still some friction within that. And even like with an agent, you know, an agent can't KYC or doesn't need to. So yeah, recently we built an MCP, and we also have our API. So we have like a lot of tooling that we've built out for agents. And so like he said, we saw this as like an opportunity to like really showcase like our infrastructure and the technology we've really been building over this past year.
Very cool. I think that's a good background. Okay. And so as of when, okay, so just a couple of days ago, I guess, literally yesterday, we got the Claw Pump Anthem Hackathon announcement. You guys moved pretty quickly on this and said, okay, let's build something for it. What was the thinking internally, and like, what were the steps in going from idea to let's just give this a shot?
Yeah, that's funny. So one, I was at my sister's birthday party yesterday, so I honestly had no idea about this. Funny enough, Kenton just texted me like, "Hey, I'm signing up for a hackathon." I was like, "All right, cool." Well, actually, here I'll let you tell it, Kent, since you since you're the one that launched it.
I love your perspective of it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, this was not planned at all, and it just like it was when I saw what the hackathon was about. I just had this feeling, and I was like, we have the infrastructure to do something really, really fucking cool, like really, really cool. And I was texting JP, and I was like, hey, should we do this? Should we get into this? And he's like, maybe. And I was like, all right, done. We're in. I'm gonna fill this out, and it just like exploded. It just exploded. And the thought process was, I took all of our different repos and what we've made for agents, and I took the Coliseum project skill to rate this idea that I had on having this agent purchase its own hardware and building itself. And it was like, yo, this could be crazy. It was like, according to this skill, I'm gonna rate it like a 9.8 out of 10. It's like, you should just go for it. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's fire it off. So it was really just on a whim. We did this and hooked it up, and here we are.
So how does this use spend underneath the infrastructure? Obviously, we've seen this concept in the past where it's like AI as the brain, and then like physical hardware as the body, and it kind of like governs its own everything. You're taking that, bringing that to life. How does this tie back to spend at all? Does it use spend infrastructure in the back end, or where does that come from?
Yeah, so it is using our agentic skill to, once it hits a milestone, like it hit its first milestone yesterday or this morning of $10,000 to purchase its first rig and GPU set. And so once it did that, it notified and was like, hey, I'm ready to purchase this. And it hit our agentic skill, and it searched through Amazon, and it did some research on what is going to be the most efficient GPU system for this. And it went and landed on some NVIDIA stuff. And since we have enabled our universal checkout, it can just pass whatever URLs it wants to our system and be like, hey, price this for me. And so once it does that, it comes back and it will be like, hey, human. Well, right now it requires a human in the loop because I don't want it to just go spending money like crazy. But eventually we'll take those guardrails off. But once it finds what it wants and it hits that milestone, it'll say, hey, do you approve of me purchasing this? Yes or no? And then if yes, it'll push it through the spend system, and it'll get purchased autonomously through our back end.
So I guess this is what I would hang my hat on. Like, this is what I think becomes really cool, where it's like we've enabled infrastructure where agents can autonomously basically govern themselves, spend, make decisions on their own, and they kind of have that full control. And so we've seen experiments in the past where, Andy Ayres gives Goatsy or whatever it is, Truth Terminal, $50,000, and it goes and does all this stuff with this money. Well, now you've actually enabled the infrastructure to where agents can spend money as they please on the back end. Like, what does that look like? And what does the future of agentic finance turn into when agents can really be fully autonomous and spend as they please and buy the things they need and, potentially get to that zero human company that people talk about all the time?
Yeah, So great question. I think like where I see it, and it kind of like, especially as I've kind of seen this coming together, like over this past day, like we're enabling the agent to obviously be able to buy physical goods. Like I know we have the X402 rails, but like there's still some friction within like being able to buy online with stable coins, because these retailers most retailers still don't accept stable coins. And so like that's like where our infrastructure is like really important, because now the agent can go buy anything online with their stable coins, even at the places where they don't accept stable coins. And so like I think in like this situation where it's really unique, and it's building obviously like a physical body for itself. And then the cool part is like this compute that it's going to have, like it can also rent this compute out, and it can use that to generate more revenue, and then continue to use like that revenue to keep building itself out. And so it's just like this loop of where it's like almost like not becoming limitless, but like, I don't know. It's just, It's just kind of like crazy to see, because like up until yesterday, I mean, I wasn't really fully like had this vision, but once like Kent like brought this vision together, and I was like, man, we have the infrastructure to really like have like build what we're talking about.
Yeah, it definitely comes back to the infrastructure that Spend has been building for the last year. And I think that's really interesting. You talked about X402, and I think there's a lot of people that think agents will use X402, and maybe we get there at some point because it is so cheap and it's on the blockchain. But until then, it feels like people are going to want to use, or at least push agents to use, what they're accustomed to, what we're accustomed to, which is, credit card spending and US dollar spending, rather than, like you said, there are sites that don't accept stable coins. Do you see a future where agents are using X402, or do you think, at least in the near future, we simply use the credit card spend and the infrastructure that you've built out?
I think that's like the beauty of what we built. It's like that hybrid of that, because like I guess under the hood for Spend, like Spend, the protocol is just like a purchasing agent. Like we like to describe ourselves like the Uber Eats or DoorDash of web-based commerce, meaning like we're making these purchases in fiat, and then like we're accepting the stable coins as payment. And so it's just like a hybrid of bringing those two worlds to be able to enable like an agent to be able to shop anywhere directly with the stable coins, and not needing to worry about, I need to use a credit card or anything like that. So it's like a hybrid of those two worlds. It's like really what Spend is built.
Yeah. The thing about credit cards though is like there's so much more information that has to go into it to use, right? You have to have like the security code, you have to have the billing address, right? And who wants to give that information to an agent?
Yeah.
No, it's a fair point. And what's interesting about this, I think, is it becomes like, where does this go? This is, this launch, I think, is test case number one. But ideally, if this works at scale, if this experiment goes well, hey, we can take this to other people, and maybe, this agent can spin it up, and this agent can build its own, robotics body. And this is like the proof of concept. Maybe talk me through where you think it goes from here, and how you're looking at this current experiment number 0 as your test case.
Something really cool that we saw is not too long after launching this, other people have spun up agents that are going to do something similar using the Spend rails. So there's something called Vessel that is creating some sort of like robotic vehicle, and they're entering the same hackathon as us using the Spend rails for this. And so, there might be a new meta coming out, following this trend, which would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
Any comment, JP, from your end on like where you think this goes or foresee this going? Of course, yeah. Again, it is a cool concept. And I think we kind of had this narrative for a little while where people were kind of doing, letting the agentic agents or letting the agents decide how to run a business, make those decisions, kind of this zero human company narrative. It was hot for a little while, kind of ended up dying off. I don't know, JP, any word from you on where you think this goes?
Yeah,
Could go?
Yeah. I mean, I think kind of like what I was saying a little bit earlier. I think it's the reason I think it's kind of died off is just because like there's still a lot of restrictions, and I think with like our infrastructure, it really kind of breaks down a lot of those barriers because now again the agent can buy anything online. So I think the possibilities kind of get endless there. Obviously, like with this first test case, we're building out like a human body, but like I'm not too sure. Like I feel like I'm still like wrapping my head around it as well. But I think like with this first test case, like I think it kind of gets like the juices flowing, and I think other people seeing this, like I'm sure it's going to spark a lot of creativity. And I think to Kent's point, I think that's where we can really see a new meta of like people getting creative with this, just because like I think the spend infrastructure really is enabling a lot more of this to come to fruition.
So I know we talked about the hackathon, but for context for everyone, this is the Ansem Hack Clarina page. And if you go to tokens here at the top, you can actually find the tokens that are in the Ansem Hack. You guys are actually the leading token. I don't even know if you guys know this, but we're also like judges on this too as well. If you go down to the bottom, you'll see MCG on there. So
nice.
But yeah, we're pretty stoked to see like some of these teams come through. And I don't know, we're not actively hacking in, obviously. We're just kind of covering teams like yourselves. But what does it look like from here to the end of the hackathon? What do you guys need to do to kind of make sure you guys are the winners?
I think the biggest thing is proving the concept of when it makes the order, it actually arrives, we set it up, and it can start generating revenue from its GPUs, even if it's small. Just proving that concept alone, and that an agent can now start its own business and bring in its own revenue it's wild. It's crazy. And I think that's going to be the biggest point that we make during this hackathon to pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
Dom, you're muted.
Yeah, I guess I just wonder, like, when we get to the point where agentic commerce is like a really big thing and everyone's using it, and everyone's using agents to shop for them, everyone's using agents to, do all these tasks, or even agents themselves are doing this commerce. It seems like it's a far out, maybe dystopian future where like we have robots and flying cars, but realistically, it's probably not that far out. How long do you foresee until this becomes like more of a reality?
I mean, I think we're on the verge of it, and that's what we're really setting out to prove. And like, yeah, I think that's the beauty of it, is like we're proving that in real time. Because again, I mean, like the agent can buy anything online, so I mean, there's nothing stopping it from really taking over. I think it just takes other people seeing like that it's actually achievable.
And I think finding more ways for the agent to generate revenue creatively, that's going to be key as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so currently your key demographic of spenders and users is probably humans. How do you expect to evangelize this and like grow the agentic side?
I think a big part of it is going to be letting this agent loose in the like agentic social networks and having it spread the word there. On top of like the response that we've gotten to this has been insane. It's been insane. Like our Discord has blown up, our pages have blown up, our DMs are going crazy. And we've had many people asking to like, how do they get involved? How do they start doing something like this? And, I think that's the start.
Power of tokenization.
Power of the token, man. And you guys have been like cooking on this for a while. So you're coming into this hackathon like with a very compelling offer to potentially win this whole thing. There's a bunch of questions in the chat here, and I want to run through these. So Darth Inferno asks, what happens to my Amazon Prime benefits like free shipping?
Yeah, that's a great question. So all users, including agents, get free Prime shipping through Spend. So if it's a Prime eligible item, that's automatically included.
Got it.
Yeah, I guess another follow-up question for the chat is like people are looking at durability and longevity of this token and the product. 60 days is I think the duration of the hackathon. How do you guys foresee this moving beyond the hackathon and becoming, I guess, just like a bona fide token that maybe sits on top of the ecosystem for hopefully forever?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I guess I'll kind of go and then you can go, Kent. I think it's kind of funny, like to this point, me and Kent, like we've really heavily talked about staying away from launching a token, and so I guess it's a bit ironic that we've launched a token, but I think in this scenario, like it really makes a lot of sense. I think I guess like proving that concept, like we said, like being able to, because like the agent is getting its revenue from these trading fees, and so using that revenue to buy GPUs, get those GPUs to start making revenue, whether it's compute power or it just like running itself. And so I think getting this loop going where the agent is using the token to like keep powering itself to generate revenue and like creating like that flywheel is like how I see it.
And did you guys launch through Claw Pump?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
What does that relationship look like?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Captain. What does the relationship with Claw Pump look like? Obviously, you chose to launch through them.
Yeah, explain the track.
Oh, well, really, before last night, there was no relationship. It was as simple as like seeing the post about this hackathon, and like I read through it, and I was like, all right, well, it seems like Claw Pump's going to be the easiest way to create this agent, and that was really it. Like, it was less about the token and more about what we can do with the agent. And so, really, what we see the product here isn't the token. We see the product as the agent that is going to make this token rise. And we see the token as a tool for this agent to be able to achieve the things that we see that it can achieve through our infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we kind of covered this already too, but like, what does it look like? So we're day zero, essentially. We got 60 days till this hackathon's over, I believe. You've talked about where you want to kind of end up and like prove out this zero human company thing and this agentic finance future. Maybe just walk me through, I guess, step by step, how you're going to get there and what you aim to achieve by the end of the 60 days when that last submission goes through and it's time to get to judging.
I guess maybe having like that full physical like agent built out, because I think that's a real possibility. 60 days is quite a long time. And like we're already ready to, we're already going to get the rig and start putting that together. So I think like at the end, having like the actual physical agent and having this full loop that like we're talking about, like fully running, because like right now, like we're still in the process of like getting all of that in motion.
And even if the I guess chassis of the bot is not built out, I think the most important part to prove is that it can create essentially its own company and generate revenue, right? That's going to be the point to set out to make. And how we do that is like we already got the money in trading fees to complete the rig and get this thing going and have it running itself. So that is going to be the first step. And as JP said, I think we may be able to build out this bot pretty far by the end of the 60 days by how things are looking right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, you said if the goal is, shown that an agent can make money on its own. Are you guys planning to plug into any of the bots or offerings that Claw Pump has to maybe make it trade, or like how do you plan to maximize the money you get from trading fees to grow that pie and prove this vision that you have?
I'll let my DGen answer that one.
Yeah. I
Says
mean,
the guy who listed the token or launched the token.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he didn't even tell me. He just launched it, and I was like, all right, well, let's run it. Yeah.
All right,
Happy
Pat, let's do it.
Yeah, literally.
Is this real? Is this your token?
I
Winner.
swear.
This is what I imagined last night going like, all right, I set up the bot and I set up the token, and then I was going to go to bed. And then this morning I was going to wake up and I was going to hook everything up and then, put some posts out about the hackathon. And that is not how it went. It was like within 3 minutes of putting the token out there, it had bonded, and like it was going crazy. It was going absolutely crazy. JP and I were running off of like 30 minutes of sleep, maybe an hour. By the time I went and laid down, my kids were going to school. It was wild.
Yeah, we were working on
That's.
like, getting, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to hear your side. That's why launching a token. If you launch a token at night, you should expect to have zero sleep whatsoever because you're going to be just flooded.
Yeah.
Again, the distribution engine of a token is a second to none.
Well, honestly, that was exactly what we experienced. It wasn't, I mean, what we were fully prepared for, but like once we saw everything come into place, we're like, okay, like we got to double down and really lock down. And so, like throughout the night, we were making like a page for the agent, so the agent has its own page that it runs. We created like an X community.
Can you is the agent tweeting? There was a question by Kate Bull. It's is the agent tweeting autonomous because it's been quite quiet for a few hours. I don't know if how you want to respond to that.
Yeah, right now it's not fully on its own, but when it hits milestones and alerts me, I'm like, all right, go ahead and make a post out of that, and it is making the post on its own. It's all hooked up through the what is it called? Claw Pump system. They have a bunch of like connectors and other things in there, and the X connector is one of them. So yes, the bot is making its own tweets.
Can we also talk about just like things are moving fast? I mean, you got a Solana quote tweet, which doesn't come like not everyone gets a Solana quote tweet, so that's pretty high praise. You got a super team quote tweet. I see you got a moonshot listing or verification, not listing, pretty shortly after going live. Like, were you guys coordinating this? I mean, did they just step in and kind of do this by themselves? What happened here?
Well, we have a lot of like really great mentors and just like people that we work with that like stepped in to really help us. Like one of our biggest mentors is Joseph from Super Team Vulcan. He really like helped guide us in the right direction. Also like our friend Justin, like he has a lot of experience with tokens, and so like he helped us get the token verified on Jupiter, on Moonshot, all these different things that we didn't have too much experience with. So although this is like our first token that we launch and we don't fully have that experience, like we're kind of gaining that as we go. I think it's like been because of like the support that we have, because we're part of Super Team USA, Super Team Vulcan, and then obviously we're backed by Monkey DAO, so we have a lot of great like mentors that we can tap on the shoulder and like get advice when we need it. And we definitely tapped into all our resources to be able to really get all these things moving quickly, because once we saw where this was going, we're like, okay, like we got to double down and really like take this pretty serious.
Yeah, makes sense.
There's a question from Darth Inferno here. I'm just pulling questions from the chat, guys.
No worries.
Just curious, what kind of guardrails do you have in place so the bot to make sure the bot it doesn't do something crazy and blows up the account? Let's just say guardrails, or so it doesn't hack the internet and take over the world.
One of the most important guardrails is that it doesn't use its main wallet for commerce. We have a commerce wallet set up for it that hasn't touched the internet, and so that anything that it wants to buy currently right now it has to get approval for, and then it moves the funds over, and then it can make the purchase, right? And so we want to make sure that it doesn't like misuse its own funds at first. So that's the biggest guardrail that we have in place at the moment.
Got it. Josh, any more questions from the chat that you want to cover or tap into here?
There's one in Espanol, but I don't speak Spanish or understand Spanish. There's just general questions about like how the longevity, like how you make this successful for the long term. Let's say you guys are wildly successful. You win this hackathon, you have, the prize money that you've won. Like, are we running this as a business? Is this then turn into like the next big thing? Like from this point forward, how should people think about it 6 months from now?
We see this being an integral part of like Spin's revenue and how it generates and stays afloat. I don't know if you guys have seen, but over the last couple months, we went fee free across our platforms, and we're giving cash back, right? And so like we're not making any money through our platform. We're really just providing a service, and we see this as a way to really propel Spin and everything else that comes with it forward.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Dom, go ahead to wrap us
No,
up.
I love it.
Chat.
I think we pretty much covered everything from the origins here, how this happened, to JP getting blown up at his sister's birthday, and where you plan to take this in the next 60 days. So I think we have a pretty good idea. Best place to follow you guys and keep up with this hackathon and journey. Anything you guys want to add? Call it to actions. Feel free to do so now.
Yeah. Go follow the Spin page, go follow our X community for Self-Made, and follow the bot himself on Self-Made by Spin. That is the handle. He'll be putting out more and more updates as we give him more freedom. I plan on by the end of today having him be free range on X, just spitting out whatever he wants, putting out like polls, asking people questions on like, getting the community involved in what are the next steps that Self-Made should make.
Mm-hmm. There you go. I love it. Guys, we appreciate you coming on, giving us the quick update. Last minute, we called you literally this morning, and you're like, yeah, we can make it happen. So you guys rock.
Yeah, appreciate you having us. It was good to see you guys again.
Yes,
Of
likewise.
See you, boys.
Absolutely. Y'all take care.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, and there it was. That was like a good last minute. Again, that launched like today. Got a lot of hype.
Yeah,
You guys see
this
super
thing.
teams.
This thing ripped. I like these guys would have. You never launch a token when you're gonna go to bed. That's the moral of the story.
Bad idea.
Bad idea.
If you value
Well,
sleep, that is.
yeah,
I
if
mean,
you value-
if you are, if you're someone that wants to stay up all night, otherwise, you're good there. But
so this is the Ansem hackathon. Okay, we are seeing more of these tokens be released. And Dom, I don't know if you can pull up the Ansem hack page. I'll kind of explain a little bit of the hackathon because it lags my computer like quite a bit here. And again, hoping to upgrade the old. I need some more powerful GPUs running my laptop here. But yeah, if you guys want to track these tokens that are part of the hackathon that Made is a part of, and a great ticker, by the way. I think this is part of what's also made this super successful. We'll get it on the screen here. So here's the page. If you're a builder, first off, if you're a builder and you're thinking to launch a token, do consider launch with MetaDAO. They've raised $45 million, and you can go to the links at the bottom there, metadao.fi or futar.io to find more information. So that's one way. But if you're going to join this hackathon, this is the page where you can go to register. It literally opened just yesterday. Bunny was on talking about the hackathon. Go down, Dom, just go through it real quick. There's different tracks. So there's an Easy A track. There's a Claw Pump track. $320,000 in prizes. I think it turns out, what's the percentage? You were on the call yesterday. Is it 0.1% of Ansem supply?
yeah, 0.1% of Ansem supply. They have some in cash as well, I believe, for some of the tracks here. You can see overall winner gets 62,500 of Ansem, 25% of Ansem, 50% of Ansem plus 35K in cash for the Claw Pump X Pump Fun Hackathon. For the inference market, you get 15% of Ansem, 37.5. Plus 10K compute, and then Easy A, you get 25,000 plus 25,000 cash from Easy A. So Yeah, I mean, each track kind of has their own personal set, right? Overall winner, 62K in Ansem, straight like that. Claw Pump Pump Fun, 125K in Ansem plus 35K cash paid out from Pump Fun, I'm assuming. Of course, the Inference one, you get, $10,000 of Inference credits. And then with the Easy A, you get an additional 25,000 in cash plus 25,000 in Ansem. So that's how the numbers break down.
So a big part of this is also the traders. And so if you go to tokens there at the top, this is where you'll find the projects that are part of it. Now, MCG is going to be covering this end to end, all these teams, or at least the ones that are kind of like, have showing really good potential. We'll have them on the show, but this is where you can find the tokens that will be a part of this. So a lot of new launches. So if you're an LPer and you're part of delimbing on Meteora, so meteora.ag-ref-mcg, you can come to this page, get the contract addresses, drop this into the Meteora thing and provide liquidity. If you're a trader and you want to speculate on these projects, you can come find fresh new launches that are part of the hackathon. And if you're a builder, we just mentioned all the things that you can do. You can come to this page, get inspiration on the different tokens launching, what's getting traction. And this is what's unique about this hackathon versus all the demo days we've done. We've done a bunch with Monk DAO. We've done stuff with Easy A, with MetaDAO, et cetera, et cetera. But what I like about this one is the traders, the market cap, the idea, like this all plays into kind of what the potential winners may be. So, cool dynamic here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the word on that. You want to talk on chain, boys? What do you want to talk about? We got some heat happening on chain. I guess we can just go through. I didn't get to go through all of my Robinhood, the Robinhood side of things.
Yeah,
so
let's
go through some
we're at the trenching. I'm actually gonna let the Discord know. Guys, we do have a private Discord. It is reserved for only people who are active in our chat, who watch our streams. So if you're not in our chat, you're not saying hi, what's up, GM, pitching, putting tickers in, giving theses, all that kind of stuff, you will not be in the Discord. And again, we found CashCat sub 1 million. We found AI at like 880K long before long.xyz was really a big platform. So a lot of alpha in that Discord, a lot of being really, really early.
Yep. All right, so feel free to drop tickers or drop what you guys want to talk about. But with that said, I'm going to close out some tabs here, and then I can run through some of what's happening on chain. Actually, let's talk Fold first, right? Fold was one that's been really hot recently. Of course, Vitalik recently has supported this. Apparently, he was like an angel investor, a seed investor in this in the early days. So I'm just going to run through it. If you guys have TLDRs in the chat, feel free to drop it. I don't know much about it. I saw yesterday it launched and I was on stream. I was busy, so I didn't get to really do a lot of digging. But let's look into this tweet here. Apparently, Aztec put out a good one. Okay. Fold bull rope your points. Vitalik buys into pre-sale. And here's the EVM. Here's the hash. You can see 16 ETH. Okay, here's the proof. From I guess, where's the wallet? Right here. This is the wallet, which is Vitalik Buterin, allegedly. Yeah, EF1, funded by Ethereum Foundation 1. Yeah, labeled as VB, Vitalik Buterin, 16 ETH, $37,000 into the presale. Okay, so Vitalik is supporting. That's pretty insane. I think it's been a while since he's done this, and we're seeing this narrative of like return to mainnet. Okay, so Vitalik buys in. We can see the angel investment there. We can see Vitalik did a spaces with the team, a red eye fireside chat on X. This is something I would say, go back and listen to if you get the chance. But you can see obviously Vitalik. I'm assuming one of these two, if not both of them, are from the team. Okay, so seems like he's got some relationship there with them. And then Vitalik quote tweeted it. So let's read what Vitalik says here. More people should know about the Interfold. It's basically what I've been yelling at people to build with the Mackie ideas for almost a decade. And now it exists in a generalized form. The idea is a privacy protocol optimized for things like voting and other use cases, e.g. secret ballot auctions, the mechanism that generates a threshold encrypted key, and people send it to their votes on chain using a ZKP to prove eligibility. An arbitrary computation on the votes, geez Louise, gets run inside FHE and then threshold decrypted. Oh my gosh, big words. But that's Vitalik speak for saying it's a privacy protocol that he likes. From what I can tell, the docs are good, right? He links their docs. This is Vitalik directly talking about Fold, which he invested in. This is pretty nuts to think about. It gets pretty optimal security guarantees. Voter anonymity can be made unconditional if eligibility is proven with ZK snarks. Censorship resistance is guaranteed by Ethereum. Votes can be posted directly on chain, and there's proof that all post votes are taken into account. The correctness of the product outputted results can be ensured via ZK FHE. The main limitation today is ZK FHE, blah, blah. But yeah, this is him directly quote tweeting the Interfold. Okay, so let's check the Fold token then on chain and see what the word is over there. And I believe I saw somewhere someone said it's like 20% float. So if that's the case, okay, yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, we can see 76 million FTV, 21 million circulating, 1.3 million in the liquidity pool. It's a privacy protocol. We let competing companies or complete strangers compute together on sensitive data, provide inputs, verifiable outputs, no trusted hardware. Yeah, okay. Privacy protocol Vitalik Buterin is invested in and supports. That's the TLDR on Fold. Are we early here? I don't know. I got to look into more into Interfold itself as a company to like understand it before I make a decision there. But I don't know. I think it's been a while since Vitalik shilled something or definitely invested in something publicly like this. So does he have the shill power he once had? Do we get a return to mainnet? I don't know. 8.5 million in volume on this pool. Looks decent. I have no comment outside of that though, but it is kind of crazy to see Vitalik's getting active again. It does feel like bear market bottoms, my boys. Feels like a bear market bottom. Okay, let's talk on chain. We talked Robinhood. I've already covered these kind of extensively. You know, the other day I covered Pawns being a really good buy, continuing to win. Of course, it's bounced. I said the same thing about. Let me switch chain. Boom. Said same thing about CashCat. You guys already know my thesis there. With that being said, though, we saw Delta absolutely popping off and showing no signs of weakness. I mean, this is the chart for Delta. We had Delta on the show the other day. This episode's done great. I think it's close to 65, 70,000 views at this point, and people absolutely love it. Again, I see this conversation where people are like, well, they only have 150K in TVL, and they've only generated 25,000 in fees for users. Like, bro, the protocol is a week old, but you're not investing based on the numbers that they're doing today. You're investing based on the projections of what you think they're going to do over the next year, assuming they're a key infrastructure on Robinhood and assuming Robinhood volume stays sticky and Robinhood stays sticky. That's the bet. Not on their numbers today. Of course, brand new infrastructure on a brand new chain is going to have low numbers on day 7, right? Or whatever it's been. Although 25K in fees generated, 700 positions opened, and 150K in TVL for a brand new protocol, it takes trust to use. You got to connect your wallet. You got to learn how to delim in the first week or so is actually pretty impressive, I would say, especially the recent growth. So yes, the numbers are low, but of course you're not coming in here and bidding Delta off of today's numbers. You're bidding this based on the projection that in a year from now, Robinhood is going to be sticky and volumes are going to continue to rise. And infrastructure like this, providing liquidity, delimming, is going to be valuable or immensely valuable on this chain. That's the bet. So Delta's looking incredibly good. Of course, we talked about this. We talked about this publicly down here on the show. We talked about it in the Discord. They came on the show. I think it was down here around these prices when they came on. And since that, it's just absolutely ripped. So we're at about $4 million now. Chart's looking incredibly good. We have, it seems like very little sellers. Of course, we got Unipix bought in off of this. This is the candle that he caused. We got a slight retracement, but that's been all eaten up. So yeah, I don't see a lot of sellers in this market, and it almost is trading. The Robinhood pairs and the Ethereum pairs trade nicely in general compared to like Solana. So Delta looks good. Maybe wait for a dip down to these like $2.5 million range if you want to get in. Maybe I would say maybe sub 3, right? Get back into this accumulation that happened post Unipix shill. And look for higher, but this has a lot of shill power behind it. I think we probably do well. Hooker was, of course, another one that came out recently. Episode's doing fantastic already. And this is up from lows of 250K. Nodar came on. I think he's on late night on base today. He came on, talked about this new V4 hook primitive. Again, we talked at the start of the show about how DeFi is, DeFi is really exciting. It feels like DeFi summer all over again, and how crypto native technologies run the hardest because it's such a blue ocean and no one knows how to really properly value these. And so we see something like Hooker, which is proposing something incredibly technically difficult, but solves a massive problem. The problem of, okay, we have these pools of money, which are liquidity pools, and the only thing they can do right now is swap in and out of tokens. It's the only thing they can do, facilitate swaps. Why can we not use that money to do more, right? Where we can actually go leverage long, where we can actually borrow against our positions. And that's what they're setting out to build. Again, very difficult to pull off, but if they can pull it off, it redefines liquidity pools as we know them, and completely upgrades them. And so if we can, of course, we know Nodar's been in DeFi for a long time, has a deep relationship with the Uniswap team. And so him working on that is, I think, really cool. And this is, again, one of those things that, yes, it's based on adoption. At some point in time, it's going to be based on how adopted this gets. But currently, this is based off of how big could this get? Could this redefine liquidity pools? And it's the idea, the narrative, and the storyline that pushes things like this in a bull market. So that's the Hooker update for you, Spiffy. I know you're asking. Bullish on Hooker. Man, AI looks great. Of course, we just had Nate on from AI. We're going to get those clips out for y'all. If you were listening, you got the alpha. And, even if you were following him closely, you could have front run it a little bit. I don't recommend you do this, but could have front run it a little bit and saw, hey, I'm coming on MCG. I'm probably going to drop some alpha. I think he said I got some alpha to drop. But this is a crazy one. I mean, this is truly a crazy one. Partnering with Lighter to enable leverage on the Long XYZ platform is just a pretty insane concept. So I don't know if we get a Lighter shill at some point, or maybe not, probably not. But nonetheless, they're doing something pretty cool. I think it deepens the moat for AI, and again, makes them one of the more compelling launch pads on Long XYZ. That is on Robinhood. Of course, pawns I think will continue to dominate, but this for the unique offering of pairing tokens and stock paired tokens is very interesting. Again, up 56% in 24 hours on one of the leading assets on Robinhood right now. This is 12.6 million. We want this to go up. Even if you're sidelined, guys, you should want this to go up because it raises the ceilings across the board for everything Robinhood. And that's what we want. We want ceilings to raise and everything else can follow suit. So we get the deltas, the hookers, all that stuff to just follow suit. Outside of that, kind of scrolling through the Robinhood list, not too much I'm watching. Fire is up 15% on the day. Looks like it's come down, it's consolidated a bit. Net is down on the day. Of course, Net's gone absolutely dummy since having them on the show. I think we had them right around here. So that's a good 226% since their appearance on MCG. And of course, they came on, explained their system. I think it's pretty cool. They're basically they're basically creating a gamified casino layer underneath tokenized stocks, right? So basically the idea here was, we're in this hyper gambling world where people choose to hyper gamble. They choose to use leverage. They choose to whatever. And no longer do you make a spot position trade and get generational wealth like our ancestors did. And he said, so most people would rather come on here and flip a coin than earn a small dividend. And so what he's created now is this thesis that we're going to make gamified products where you can go and use your stocks, right? So if I'm on Robinhood, I have a bunch of NVIDIA. I can now use that and play casino games with it, play games with it, whatever it might be. And they're looking to white label this product on distribution front end. So they think, hey, we can maybe attract users to our front end to play it, but hey, let's take this and let's put it in Robinhood. And that's obviously a far out example. Maybe that never happens, but the idea, and I think, the relationships here that the NetDebt team have go very deep. I believe I saw someone say he might have a relationship with Flood Capital. I think they mentioned, they're in talks with some of the Robinhood team. So yeah,
on NetNet, Duncan from Flood Capital.
Oh no, not Flood. I meant not Flood Capital. I'm talking Flood.
What?
I misspoke. No, Duncan's. I think of Josh. I think of Duncan when I think of Josh, but I mean, no, just Flood in general. With that being said, I think they have some relationships that go deep, and this is pretty cool. If they can get these distribution partners to list their games, list their casino, I think they could really make a nice thing here. So. William says, yo, just looking at Robinhood tokens, feeling like Solana 1.5 years ago, but fresher. Brother, William, welcome back, man. We need the classic William daily updates. If you guys don't follow William or you weren't around here 1.5 years ago when Solana was popping off, William grew a very nice following every day, coming out on the timeline and posting brief little updates on everything that launched based on their market cap and, like a one-line TLDR. So he does great work. He's in the chat here. William, we should we should. I would love to see you on Robinhood. I'd love to see your daily updates doing that. And of course, you always have our direct line. So, Jeet Sparrow, we don't have a really good agentic Robinhood project. Vex, any decent agentic Robinhood projects in the pipe? Jeet Sparrow, it's a great question. It's a fantastic question, actually. Right now, it seems like agents are not the narrative. They're not the meta. We're not seeing AI hot on Solana. We're not seeing it hot anywhere. Although I think this changes at some point. RWA is super hot on Robinhood, so I'm going to continue kind of riding the RWA, continue riding the V4 hook narrative that's really hot. But yeah, I think it's very clear. Vlad 10 have said there's two things they're focusing on exclusively. RWAs and agentic finance. And you can see that on their holders call, the Earth is flat call. Every time they talk about what their main focus is right now, it's crypto and blockchain, bringing accessibility to everybody through RWAs and tokenized assets and agentic finance. We're heading this, and now actually recently, and I thought this was going to revive the prices a little bit for agentic finance and bring things like Vex on a pump, was when Robinhood made a post about you being able to integrate your agentic products into the Robinhood app with an API and directly trade through Robinhood with agentic apps. Yet it didn't really gain traction. I think Vex maybe dropped the ball on taking advantage of that moment a little bit. They could have reposted it, said, plugged in a few agents, shown it working on the Robinhood app. If they didn't do that, they dropped the ball on it. But I do think Vex is a number one contender right now for agentic finance on Robinhood. I don't hold any just because I know attention is dodgy and shifty on new chains like this. And I'm not going to just sit in a bleeding asset. But if we do start seeing attention come back, that'll probably be on top of the list. I think Raxel was another one we saw, a Virtuals project.
The one thing I'll say about Vex is because I did that interview, and the founder, he was based in Asia, but he was also, when I asked him what his background was, he was just talked about like meme coin promoting or token project promoting. So, again, I think it's like one thing to launch an idea out there, launch a token, get traction, build a story, do all this stuff. And that's another idea to say, hey, we have, 10,000 users and we're driving $20 million of volume a day or something like that, as an example. So, I think with Vex, it's like one of those where I don't know if anyone has numbers that they can send us or tweets.
Well, he told us 1,000
traction.
agents have been built on the platform. So there was meaningful agents on the platform, according to him. But yeah, outside of that, I'm not sure.
So yeah, is it clicking a button that deploys an agent? But really where it becomes economical is like what those agents are doing. Are they trading? Are they placing trades? Is their volume? Is their actual activity? Yeah. And so if anyone has that information, I don't want to fud nothing, but
yep. AI is breaking out hard right now. Yeah, guys, this was a pretty big update he just dropped on us. So good to have.
Can we pull this chart back? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. This is why you tune into MCG.
This is the MCG effect, fam.
You can catch the recordings, and the recordings do great. Almost all of our views, we do about 100,000 impressions every day, sometimes much higher. Today we'll do much higher. We already had 100,000 today. Almost all of those come from the long form content we post, but you don't get this if you're not live. AI is breaking out harder now. William says, appreciate that. I'll be researching more this week and see what I can do for the same for Robinhood. Yeah, please do, man. I love that content, William.
And again, the Discord had AI at 300K officially. I think unofficially, when I looked at it, it was 180K. But let's see. Yeah, 393K on our Rick bot. So the only way you get in the Discord is by being active in the chat, guys. Raxel, oh my gosh, this was another one. Yeah, let's talk Raxel real quick.
Yeah, well, we're talking agentic finance, which is why I wanted to bring up Raxel, because they were on our Virtuals Day as well.
Yes.
This has caught the biggest bid, I think, off the back of the agentic finance narrative that I haven't really seen pick up, but it's up 90% from the lows, and it's 1.3 million, kind of cheap in comparison. But I think actually it might have flipped. It might have flipped Vex then. No, okay, Vex is 1.8 million. Okay, and Vex has even caught a bit of a bid from the bottom here. Again, just like, yeah, that's a tough looking chart. But I don't know. I have no update on Raxel, but there's another one for your agentic trading endeavors. and that's looking pretty good. 1.3 million up 50%. I know the team was very smart here. They were building multiple products. I think one was like a bridge for agents, right? It was a bridge for agents to transact or something. I don't know. I forget.
So this was a tough conversation because it was deep DeFi tech. So the guys had been working on DeFi tech for ages on Ethereum, really cracked team. And I think they even have had contributions, EIP contributions on Ethereum. So they were like really, really good developers. And how he described it, and I actually kind of had to tease this thesis out, this narrative out, but basically he's building all the components of a on-chain coin base where you can do whatever you can do on a centralized exchange, but only using on-chain, routes and software and hooks and all this kind of stuff and functionality, etc. And another core thing of the thesis was that on Robinhood, you would have your liquidity on Robinhood, you'd be placing trades on Robinhood, but the Raxel software or suite of tools was going and pulling, like providing your liquidity or doing your route or completing your trade in other parts of on-chain. So in other EVM chains. So it's like you place a trade on Robinhood, but it was going out to, I don't know, mainnet and other trading places based on the best execution. So that's all I got. I think let's do an update from them. Actually, I'm going to ping them right now.
Yeah, we can see what's up. I think we have a few slots open next week. Next week's about to be a banger. We got a lot of people on.
Oh my gosh, next week's gonna be sick.
Yeah, and I still got to get some people booked up. But man, even tapping back over to macro real quick, and again, feel free to drop your AI dipped at 99K after Discord call. That's crazy. Wow. MCG was early as per usual. Yeah, no, but Bitcoin's looking good, up 4.6%, 4.63% on the day. Again, guys, I think like early innings of this next cycle. I'll go back to my colorful charts, as I know you guys like the colorful stuff. Crypto Jones specifically loves it colorful. And I'll show you where we're at. Again, right here on Bitcoin, we have this compression in the candles, compression in the spreads, change of character on these candles. We have all these bottom signals flashing, right? Spreads are starting to compress. The 4-year cycle is still intact. Expansions and contractions are compressing. Cycles continue to shorten. Bitcoin was the 5th largest asset back at its peak here in October 2025. It now sits at 14. Crypto is the lagging asset class. I mean, you can see this is the compression you get. This is what a bottom looks like from a timing perspective, from a cycle perspective. Same thing down here. We're getting these exact signals right here, and this pump is no surprise. Of course, put out a long video. I've been banging the drums on this zone here, this range for a very long time now. So Bitcoin's looking really, really phenomenal. Again, Ethereum up 3% on the day. As we get a return to mainnet, as Robinhood really sprawls on Ethereum and just blows up, continues to get attention and grow, as we know it probably will. It'll stay sticky. Again, largest retail financial consumer app in the world. Vlad Tenem is an innovative founder. I think Ethereum kind of has some life from this point. Solana looks fantastic from a compression standpoint. This candle's gapping up. Again, probably goes much higher. Lighter at all-time highs. It looks like it's coming down off the day, but again, it was up insane yesterday. It's up pretty well today as well. But expecting U.S. licenses, U.S. derivative license for this by end of year. And that would be huge for Lighter. I think they'd be the first to do it. Of course, Donald Trump did say we want to bring Hyperliquid to the United States as well. So if Lighter gets the derivative license, I'm sure Hyperliquid wouldn't be too far behind with the stance that they.
Yo, Crypto Jones in the chat is just wild.
He sure is. Crypto Jones, you would know, huh, buddy? You would know. CapEx coming on. CapEx is not coming on, brother. No. We didn't even extend an invite, to be honest with you. I don't have time for that shit, to be honest. I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah.
Look. Yeah, this is crypto. It's a shame that she rugged. It's a shame that she was scamming or whatever. I don't know what her situation is. They might relaunch it, might not. But like, I've been here too long to like give sympathy and pity for these founders. She rugged. She can blame it on whoever she wants or whatever. Like, we've seen this same story. She was anonymous. We don't know anything about her. Like, no, I'm not wasting my time. I'm not platforming her unless it gets solved and figured out. But I'm not going to be the person that does that for her. Or MCG's not. So yeah, no CapEx coming on unless you want to come up on stage and just grill her for an hour straight, bro. It's up to you. Yeah. So I don't know, guys. Let me know anything else you guys are looking at. I kind of went through my Robinhood trades here today. Yesterday was such a
like, what about yesterday? I mean, did you share Hooker?
Yeah.
And his second one. And the second one. Zap.
Oh, OX Zaps. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That is actually doing well.
Let's see how those are doing.
OX Zap. This was his second token. I've actually told him like he should probably like liquidity and market cap are like nearly the same here on this token. And I'll tab over here. I told him like, look, you should probably consolidate into one token and give, drain this liquidity, make up the difference. And of course I said this at the bottom. So now the gap has slightly widened, still very close though. I said, take the trading fees you've made. It would be a 12K difference to drain the liquidity pool and pro rata distribute, the holdings in Hooker to all the people that were holding this snapshotted. A little more difficult as the market cap rises, but this is up. It's a second project, very, very low market cap, high risk. I'm like not recommending you buy necessarily. I think Hooker's the runner, but if you want exposure, you see Hooker go to 1.3 million. It's at
the other thing on Zaps, just to let people know, is the guy created the DeFi Zap, so he's like really, which is a very important primitive, because if you like Zapier had this thing before Zapier, no, it's not Zapperfy. You would have to like sign multiple transactions to get an on-chain transaction approved. So you go approve the tokens in this wallet, approve the tokens that you're transacting in, approve the amount. Like he mentioned that there was 5 approval signing steps that you used to have to make. And what Zaps are is they sign once and it approves the entire transaction and all the steps in between. So you don't have to do separate contract approvals for them. So there was a primitive there. Now the thesis with this project, because I did a little digging into it, is that you're now allowing agents to have that power as well, to have that ability. So
did you grab a cheeky little bag of Zaps?
I'm not gonna lie, I did, but I fumbled it.
You sold? How did you sold? Are you sold?
I fumbled it. Yeah, I fumbled it. So not happy about that. Yeah, not
okay.
Not opening this up and saying, "Oh, 120K, I'm so excited." But yeah,
yeah, nonetheless, like I got on here and I was pretty shocked. The liquidity is so thick for this market cap. Like you can actually put in, you can't put in a lot of size, but typically this is like the liquidity you would see on an 800K market cap pump fund token.
Yeah.
Right. Typically it's a 1-to-10 ratio.
We normally wouldn't share a token that's 115, but because it's associated with Hooker and because the developer is
context
who he is, like there's definitely context.
Yeah, but this looks great, man. I like Hooker. Again, I think the V4 Hooks narrative is going to continue to grow. And just the fact that he's redefining liquidity pools completely with this mechanism is cool. The only issue with hooks, this is the biggest issue I foresee with hooks, is that everyone's trying to create their own cool hooks. And to add hooks to a liquidity pool, you have to have your own new pool to that, unless you launch with that hook already attached. And so like you're going to have the cash cats, the pawns, the leaders, attendees, the leaders on Robinhood, and everyone's going to say, okay, let me add my hook where you can add leverage, and people go and put liquidity in it. Someone's like, okay, well, let me add my hook over here that lets you buy, every buy of cash cat also buys you whatever. And you have 6 people doing 6 different hooks, and all the liquidity is fragmented into these different ones. Of course, a router is going to take care of routing it through all of that, but it adds another layer. So how can we unify liquidity pools and make sure when we're launching with all the necessary hooks from the beginning, or having one liquidity pool with all the hooks attached to it? Hope that makes sense. Abe, MetaDAO season soon. I can feel it, brother. We can all feel it. The net asset value of Solomon Labs is like very tight. And so if we get a MetaDAO season, I think that's one that becomes interesting. Spliffy Magoo. Can we talk about the dude scamming the AI compute who started making videos shooting machine guns? PO systems, bro. Insane crash out. We, of course, friends with the Solana Foundation team. So again, we're seeing this guy talk. Solana's like, man, this is really cool. Let's like verify this stuff. Can you get us in contact with him? So I put Corey from PO in contact with Solana Foundation. Vibu joins the chat. literally
very
they ask
friendly,
him,
by the way, like very nice, casual, friendly,
friendly.
cordial.
And by the way, like you kind of want Solana Foundation on your side
Yeah.
if you're building something. And Vibu's like, hey, can you maybe tell me a little bit more about your project? Just trying to understand it better. And he just crashes out. He's like, why would you
Instantly.
come in here if instantly? Why would you come in here? Didn't you watch the MCG interview? Why would you come in here if you don't know about the project? Asking stupid questions, wasting my time. People think he was drunk or whatever, but he crashed out on Vibu. And all Vibu was trying to get was like, hey, the numbers you're talking about are really, really big. Can you like kind of confirm those so we can help support you a little bit more? Like, we're open to supporting you. You just got to give us something. And he crashed out on him. It was like the most diabolical crash I've ever seen, which I will never invest in a founder that can't keep his temper. I understand founders being a little bit, I think founders need to be a little bit egotistical. I think founders need to be a little bit out there to take risks and do crazy things, right? It's some of the traits of a good founder. Like you see this thing, but not being able to control your temper and acting so irrationally when you have someone like Solana Foundation trying to help you out and support you is like, buddy, that's not, if we're burning those bridges, how can I trust you with to steward my money? So that was pretty
and the
much.
context was is people went to the on-chain revenue router and then saw it only had like 5K in revenue on it, but he was claiming like, I don't know, million in revenue or something
multiple
like that.
million annualized.
Hey,
and,
we
like,
just raised money for a GPU like data center. So it was like all these huge claims, and I'm like, okay. And then Solana's, yeah, hey, we need to follow up on that.
And of
So-
course, Crypto Jones, Spliffy Magoo, Crypto Jones knows we just cover what's hot too. So like, we're not here picking and choosing if we think someone's completely legitimate. Of course, we have our general. It has to be above a certain market cap. You have to like check these boxes. But there are people that are going to come on MCG and Rug if their token's hot and the community wants them on. Like, we're going to get them on. We're simply here to have those conversations. But you're right.
And ideally, this is part of your due diligence process, right? Like we ask the tough questions, and Dom, you asked some very specific questions of how we can find, some sort of information around these revenue numbers and these claims. And then you got to hear what his response is and decide for yourself, do you trust this person?
Well, I'm not sure if you guys remember exclusively after that call, people were asking, are you bullish? Literally right after, I was giving my thoughts and I said, man, these numbers are great, but you can only trust someone in crypto as far as you can throw them. And until we verify those numbers, like, proceed with caution, take everything with a grain of salt. You can't take someone's word, at all.
Did you see the follow-up? Someone posted about he had a cookie business or something, and then that he had like rugged some other kid out of his cookie business. I don't know. I don't want. No, I'm dead serious. I'm 100% serious. I couldn't believe
Cookie
it.
Bandit.
He was on Forbes or something of like top.
Well, that was part of his
10 or
crash
10 or
out.
something like that.
He's like,
yeah.
bro, Peter Thiel was my mentor when I was 7 years old. He's like a Thiel fellow, and like I'm like, oh, that's kind of
It's like
interesting
Make-A-Wish
dynamic
kind of stuff, though.
Yeah, we got but Ave says, brother, I have been solo stacking big. Yeah, again, it's how MetaDAO works. Again, it has these underlying net asset value of the token based on the raise. It's owned by the holders, and so any MetaDAO token that's sitting at or around net asset value has like an underlying value attached to it that can be liquidated at any point in time if voted upon. So like there is a level of downside protection with MetaDAO and something like Solomon which is trading, I think, below net asset value right now.
Can
so
you
like
pull like RAR up? We looked at cars already, but how's RAR doing? This one was built buying a like rare. It's like a launch pad for rare fossils.
This was I guess seemingly a sell the news event. They were doing a raise for the first fossil. I think it got 40% filled. I'm not sure if they ended up filling it out completely, but yeah, this is Jurassic Finance. And again, interesting concept. They are basically creating a launch pad where you can tokenize and fund the purchasing of fossils, which apparently is a big market. I don't know enough about it to like make any informed decisions, but the chart's not looking great. I wonder how that raise went, to be honest. Not sure. Let me check Twitter. Let's see. Dayton is the first ever tokenized dinosaur fossil launching on Solana. The raise is live. Own a piece of history. Let's see how this is doing. Come on.
And then I have another sneaky MetaDAO launch.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this race site's taking too long to load, guys. So I'm gonna just wave the white flag at that. But RAR, I would say, not looking great from a token perspective, but maybe they're cooking. Maybe it's opportunity. Who knows? Again, there is a net asset value to these. There is an attached value that you should pay attention to. Josh, if you want to pop in with your little sneaky meted out token, and then I'll talk through Solomon. I'll check out that chart, check out Credible real quick as well again. Maybe Avicii, maybe Umbra.
Yeah, so this was one that I actually did the session with Kimia, and they were doing like market making. I think they were doing DLMing. They were running a bunch of like spot arbitrage strategies or delta neutral strategies. So again, a delta neutral strategy, really quick, is that there might be a skew in funding rate between exchanges. So on Binance, the skew is net long, and so if you go short, you get paid. Whereas on another exchange, it might be net short. And if you go long, you get paid. And so basically what you can do is go long on one exchange and hold, go short on one exchange and hold spot, and then collect the funding there. So you're market neutral. So if the price goes up, down, doesn't matter. You're getting both on the long and short side, the value, but you're collecting the percent fees that you're getting paid. So isn't it, again, many people have tried this strategy. The strategy is not necessarily new. One thing that was sneaky about Kimia, though, is that they were building their own perp exchange as well. So they're building their perp exchange, and then they were going to run this strategy on top of it. And so here's the token. It was 128K. When I last looked at this, it was like 90K. But again, this token dipped to 40K, and actually in their raise, the implied FDV at the raise was 155K. They raised 60K. So back here post-launch in August 7th at 45K, that meant that they were trading below their net asset value. And this is something Dom has mentioned before. So, whether this product works or not, buying it below your NAV is like usually a reasonable risk reward area. So go to the launch page, go to Kimia. I believe there's some updates that they'll start pushing out on development progress, but it was a sneaky Futardio launch that is performing quite well compared to the others.
Yeah, interesting. Josh hit the nail on the head. Now, the only thing I would say, looking at net asset value for a token that only raised like, I think 60K or whatever they raised, is if it's 10K a month in burn, you only have 6 months runway. So the net asset value can quickly shift, down the lower bound if you're not paying attention. Whereas others, you have like Solomon, which is like 100K a month, and they have like $5 million in, so it'll take forever. Right, like it's meaningless.
Maybe
really.
Pull that next.
Sure, I'll even go to O1 Resolve. If you guys want to look at the net asset values and all the tokens, bro. Why is my thing bugging? If you guys want to look at all the tokens, O1 Resolve is going to have all the meted out tokens. It's like their investor relations site, and yeah, you can peep everything here. So let's actually go up here and let's sort from net asset value. Can we do that? Oh, you can't sort. They need to do that. But you look at Credible, and it's got a 0.38 NAV. Let's see what the chart looks like here. Let's go to Credible. And again, this is taking a long time. I think Credible should have held off on their raise and launch until they were pretty much ready to roll out. So, or not Credible, excuse me. Oh, I am looking at Credible here. I am looking at Credible. Solomon is what I meant to be saying. Yeah, so here's Solomon Labs. We can look at this total supply, 25 million, circulating is half of that, 11.42 million. Okay, it looks like it's actually trending up very nicely. But yeah, you look, they have how much in their treasury? Let's go to the financials here. They have $5.82 million in their treasury. They're trading at a 0.7 net asset value. There's literally a spot premium discount of negative 2.75. There's a 2.75% discount on net asset value. And this is not including any tokens that they hold. Yeah. So they got 43 months of runway, 100K monthly spend. So again, like even this money, just if you have 5.82 million raised and your monthly spend limit is 100K, that's 1.2 million a year. Like it's going to take 43 months just to get down this treasury balance. And I'm assuming a lot of this is staked in earning yield, which offsets a sum of this 100K monthly spend. But you can see, it was about $7.5, $8 million raised. Today it sits at, closer to 6. So, right, $2 million has been spent. The question is, will this continue to trend down and lower the net asset value, or will it start turning around as revenues start flowing into this, and then you can start putting growth projections and multiples on it? But yeah, this is Solomon Labs. Let me pull up the Solo chart. And by the way, I'm seeing people twopping. I'm seeing people absolutely twopping into AI. 30K buy, 15K buy, 5K buy. MCG got motion, bro. MCG got motion. All right. Boom. Here's a Solomon Labs chart. Yeah, again, just ranging around net asset value. So again, if you get a dip below NAV, probably a good buy. You're probably going to bounce. Buy. And it can range on for as long as we want. 100K is getting burned a month, so the net asset value is going to slightly drop every month. But again, trading at 7.7 million with, I think, 6 on their books. And, I've heard this is even maybe incorrect. So looks good. I'm not sure. When do they launch? When is their stuff going to roll out? I've kind of just been monitoring on the back end, so waiting on that. But I think Solomon is kind of cheap here. Again, Credible, my favorite that's launched so far, is starting to get nice traction. You can see here, starting to gain nice traction. But again, track all that stuff on OX1 Resolved. Let's pull up the cred chart real quick. And again, we looked at the start of the stream, but we have Ansem shilling it now. So trading at 17.3 million, doing about 3.5. I'd assume maybe closer to 4 million annualized at this point. So, about a 4x multiple is on this right now, which is extremely compressed for the growth that they're doing, 30% month over month. It's funny. I see people like shilling EtherFi, which has like a 15x multiple, and they're like, growing payments infrastructure, like it's growing so fast. The thing I will say is it is a leader at 15x, which isn't crazy, but it shows how cheap Credible is. Y'all should get OX Resolve on MCG. Yeah, shit, we'd be down. We'd be down. Why not? Solo looks like it's sitting nicely in consolidation. Yeah, Crypto Jones, it is. I mean, it is. That's what I'm saying. Like, there are going to be people who occasionally just panic sell this and aren't really thinking about the fundamentals, and you can take advantage of that, right? Like here. I mean, I'm sure as if they're going to continue to kind of time rug on this, it'll probably get another dip, and you probably get another entry. You can buy below NAV. Okay, buy below NAV, and you just let it recover. I mean, again, I don't want to see this get liquidated, but if it ever did come down to like the Treasury voting, you would get more money than you bought in with if you can be smart with how you trade this. Let's see what Made is doing. Yeah, Made we just had on. I don't know. Truthfully, probably wouldn't bid it. We've kind of seen these experiments, and I just like it's gonna be very hard to derive $1.3 million of value to this, even if they work really hard on it. So, that's just my general take. But from an experimentation standpoint, it's a cool experiment. Didn't Avicii once trade at like $5? Yeah, Crypto Jones. Avicii was on a tear back when it launched, when we first covered it. Now it trades at $6.8 million market cap. Yeah, I mean, this traded at $7.5. Really crazy. So yeah, Printer's an NFT project on Robinhood that's starting to kind of bounce a little bit here. I've been trying to get them on the show, guys. No luck. I think it's just like
I always think of Printer, the
Launchpad, the rug. Yeah. Wow, look at AI again at 15 million. This is this is about to get into price discovery. What a candle. What a candle. Honestly surprised it's not vamping pawns more than it has. Right? With this kind of repricing, I'm surprised pawns hasn't really taken a dip here. But wild.
There's some other ones. I'm just looking through the Discord. Do you know anything about Stackers? Stackers, anything interesting?
It's it's another NFT collection. I don't know, bro. I just see all these NFT collections. It's kind of like a played out narrative, I think. Like, what's the seventh iteration of another NFT collection that's got some sort of like Ponzi-nomics attached to it?
That looks like stockbrokers too. Yeah.
Well, it all does.
How does that chart look like?
This looks like stockbrokers as well. It's down quite a bit. It's down quite a bit. Stockbroker.
I mean, that hit 100 mil at one point. Like,
terrible ticker, man. Terrible ticker. Too long. Holy cow. Yeah. Yikes.
Wow.
This is getting raped. Down to 20 mil. Yeah, it did down to 32 million FTV. It did hit 100 mil FTV at one point. again, they were looking to build out a lot of infrastructure for Robinhood. And I think this is one of those things that kind of like it goes up nicely because the fees are nice early on and there's a cost to sell your tokens pretty much. But when people start selling it, it stacks quick and it gets very scary. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. No comment. No comment. I don't have anything else though. It's 3:16. We've been going live for about 3 hours here now. We had a banger interview. There's 2,700 of you guys on here today.
Prism.
This is a mainnet V4 primitive, which I like what they're doing, man. The team is cracked, I think, here. Oh, this is not the right one. The team is cracked here. Where is the right one?
That
is it.
I think
this
it's
one.
that.
Okay, it's down quite a bit, huh? Yeah, it's down quite a bit from 1,400 peak to about 480, just under $500 today. Yeah, I think I love their UI UX. It looks so cool. I don't know how bullish I am on just the V4 hooks, kind of just allowing you to buy a basket. I don't think like the basket narrative is new. We saw that on Solana, right? Anyone here in WW I'll check it in a sec. Jumo and Shadow Man. I don't know. The V4 hook narrative is super cool, but I think having it used for an ETF essentially, or a basket more or less, is just not super exciting to me. Although Prism's incubating and like building out a couple different products, so that's not the only one to hang your hat on. But I don't know. This didn't excite me too much personally. I know Chill really liked it, but the only thing the V4 hook is you're buying into a basket and it's going and buying those individual stocks based on your weights, which it's like you could just do yourself, or you could buy into an ETF without having to actually use a V4 hook and go through and buy each individual stock pairing. So that's that's the thing with Prism for me, but not here to flood bags. I actually really like the team behind it. Colby. Wood as in like Sherwood?
Yeah.
Or is this Sherwood? Virtuals project, I think, potentially holding up at the low.
This was like doing
million. I think there's a lot of overhanging supply.
Agentic like hedge funds. But they didn't have any traction at that point. It was
a bit expensive to justify.
Launch. Yeah, I'm just opening the app to see if there's any data here. Like,
Crypto Jones is right. Clarification here. Prism is the ecosystem. Spectrum was the basket launchpad that was built with Prism. That's a good point. That's a good point. What's difficult is these products, when they have a bunch of products under the hood, it gets kind of convoluted and people don't know where to direct attention or what the narrative is. But yeah, okay, you're right. That's a good correction, Crypto Jones. Thank you for that. All right, boys.
What is
I'm assuming
20K? What is 20K TVL? So I think expensive versus their traction right now.
Yeah, to put in perspective, I mean, Delta is above 150K with 25K paid out to users, and people think that's expensive at 3.7 million. So, if you want to take the math and math it, this is pretty expensive for what they got so far. But okay, I can check out WeWe. I'm assuming this is going to be a meme, considering the people I'm seeing here in the chat. It's a cute little cat. Okay, it's a cute cat. I'm not a big meme guy, like, to be completely honest with you. You guys aren't going to like my take. Jumo, George, Shadow, I hate to disappoint. You guys might not like my take. I don't know where you guys came from, but I appreciate you all in the chat. It's a cute looking cat, that's for sure. It's a very small cat. I don't know the lore. Is there some lore? I got the boys in the chat now. Is there some lore here? Is this like, did Vlad post about this? Is it, communities just rocking out with it? I don't know. Not a big meme guy. I have much more infrastructure utility. Are you big on communities? I like a good community, but community, you'll be surprised how quick a community fades when the token starts going down. I'll tell you that much. It's a viral cat from TikTok. Okay, so it's a virality play. Yeah, not super. I don't have much edge there, so no comment, I would say. But if it's viral and you think the virality can sustain, just make sure you guys get out before the music stops. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. Not to turn the community against each other here in the comments, but it's all fun and games till the music stops. Excuse me. It's fun when the music starts. It's not fun when the music stops. So ride that narrative out, ride that attention out. And once you see the community getting a little too elated, at the all-time highs, you know, you might want to start clipping the kitty. We're built different. If you say so, man. If you say so, we can come back to this in a couple months and see.
Prove us wrong, guys.
Prove us wrong. Hey, it's buy and hold belief season, bro. So like, I would love it.
I
Raise
will
the ceilings for
say,
me.
I did fade Corey back in the day. Like I owned it. I traded it from like 2 mil to 5 mil, and I thought, oh man, I'm out. And it's this viral little dog on TikTok. But then Corey ripped to like 80 mil, and I was like, you know.
Yeah.
But again, that's the exception, right? That was peak bonk mania back in the day. But
Definitely the exception. But memes run, man. I told you, I think Cash Cat's going to a Billy at some point in time.
Manlet. Yeah, let's
Abe,
check.
did you cover stonks on Sol? Yeah, we covered that at the start, but we'll definitely jump into Manlet now. TLDR in that coverage, Abe, is stonk is starting to form a bottom. I think it's a buy. It's a new primitive introduced to Solana. First mover advantage aligned with the narrative. I think it's a buy at 4 mil or whatever it was at 4.1 mil. So yeah, let's see Manlet here. Let's do Ansem chain, not Ansem chain, Ansem Eco. All I would say is check out the community. All right, y'all. If you want to know more about WeWe, check out the community. They're in this in this chat rating pretty hard. So I'll give them credit where credit is due. Manlet's kind of curling a little bit. Again, I think this is like just predicated off, does Ansem talk about us? Does he tweet about us? You know, do we get the Ansem attention? It is the first Ansem paired token. And one of the the early runners on the stock platform. So it has that first mover advantage going for it. Stack is it? What's the TLDR on Stack? I mean, if you're talking about it, what's unique about it? What's special about it? But yeah, here's Manlet. I guess I'll pull up stonks real quick as well. And I have bought some of this over the last couple of days, 2 days or so. Although Solana's outperformed it. So the Solana I've spent to acquire this is not paired against Solana, it's paired against the SPY. So I'm like, actually, it's been a bad trade so far. It's been a bad trade. Not only because I'm like slightly down on my position, but also because Solana's up like pretty significantly in the last couple of days. But yeah, I would say, again, volumes are still not turning back up on this. So like volumes aren't turning around. So maybe volumes trend to zero and this trends to zero with it. But I don't know. I think the risk reward is still pretty decent as we get back into the zone. I'd probably stack some. Let's see. Tip Ansem, a new token could be a good delim. All right, I'll let you talk through that, Josh. I have seen this. This is like one of the leaders on his new platform, I believe. Or no, wait, this is a Claw Pump, right? We saw this on the Claw Pump hackathon page. Is this it? Is this the right one? It's only 100K? Maybe.
Let me pull up the...
Yeah, low liquidity. Crypto Jones says this could be a good delim. And of course, guys, if you're new here, we obviously had Meteora on at the start of the show. They are a presenting partner of the stream, and we appreciate them and all they do. And yeah, Meteora and delimming is one of the best ways to trade, one of the most EV positive ways to trade. And you're not necessarily taking directional positions. You're basically betting on volume. And so right here, we see there's $1.8 million of volume and 25K of liquidity. What does that mean, guys? What does that mean? To help you understand this, it means there's been $1.8 million exchanged within that small 25K liquidity pool. So if you have your money in there and you facilitate those transactions, that's $1.8 million of dollars going through that liquidity and saying, hey, thanks for providing this side of the trade to me. Here's 2% fees, or here's 1% fees, or here's the dynamic fees, right?
That's
where it can be valuable.
I'm actually going to check this in the, let me check on Meteor right now here, what the fee to TVL ratio is on this. Okay. So, wow, 185% fee to TVL ratio. So the TVL right now is 4K and the fees generated is 7,500.
Holy cow.
So here, I'll show you guys how to read
So
this.
basically that means, guys, people have put $4,000 of liquidity through this, and they've made $7,500 just putting that liquidity up before you even factor out like impermanent loss and all that stuff. So even if the token goes up or down, they've already pulled out 7,500. That's pretty insane.
Yes, there's, and then you have this dynamic fee. So a dynamic fee is a fee put on top of the normal pool fee. So right now the pool fee is probably 3%. Yeah, 3% here. And then 1.68. So because the volume and utilization is so high, and what utilization means is that, again, what we mentioned, that 4K and TVL, but you have $7,500 in demand for that. All these Ansem tokens are going to be great DLMM trades.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing you got to consider, though, with delimbing, right, is as this kind of declines, it needs to bounce, right? It needs to range. So like here is a great range to DLM, like this here. So the initial run, great to DLM, because you can put, like, let's say I put in like 5 SOL here, right? And it's going to obviously ping it to the current thing. But if I put in 5 SOL here, it will fill all the way down. Now, from where we are here, basically, if I go out, blah, 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 is you can put, again, your 5 SOL. Oh my gosh. I think I'm glitching. Why not? It doesn't let me. Anyways, you can put your 5 SOL here, and then I can put my max spin like that. And what it'll do is as this declines, it will fill this order. Now, but what you need it to do is you need it to bounce, right? You need it to do something like this if you're providing SOL side liquidity, right? Ideally, that's a perfect way to play this current stage. The other option is you can buy like a bit of the token itself and provide both SOL and the token, so that if it, you know, doesn't really get in this range, but it goes up like that, you're also getting fees from this activity. But man, I don't know. I'd be kind of careful with these type of tokens. So good over here, but as it falls really quickly through the range, it can be unprofitable. You just got to be
Hey, for my meme coin guys in here, this is how you want to think about this. So this is an onboarding chat for my meme guys or wee guys in the chat. If you guys like community, you like attention, this is a way to trade off attention. How much attention and volume is this going to get? And you can make really good fees off that. So you guys should check out Meteor and the DLM army, LP army. Also, Crypto Jones made a small correction. The 4.5K value locked is what's left, of course, right? So there was probably much more in there earlier, and it's since exited. So yeah, thanks for that correction.
That's a good point. So here, I'll show you what it like. So go grab you see a hot token, newly launched. You go drop the CA in here. And I got this off of the Ansem hack page, token page. So these are all the liquidity pools. You can see that they have different fees. So 1, 5%, 50 bips, 2%. What I do is usually pick the highest TVL pool. So I like 1% or higher. On market cap tokens that are like 1 million and doing good volume, 1% is fine. On lower cap memes, like sub 1 million, you probably want 2 or 3%. And so look, this range, like, man, okay, if the chart was over here and you provided liquidity, right? SOL side liquidity, you would have had this entire trading range you're earning fees from, right? As it's going through. Now, at this point of the chart, right? You probably only want to play, give SOL side liquidity. Like you would want to do something like this for SOL. And then you can do a layer of spot. So you would open the position for spot, and then you could do a layer of bid ask. Now, the difference between these two, fees is, Dom, if you can actually go back to this, is this blue area over here is the shape of your liquidity. So basically what this means is there's little of your SOL liquidity at this current price, but as the price comes down here, it's getting filled more and more and more and more and more into your liquidity. As you can see, the bins get bigger and bigger, right? That you see over here. So this means you have less risk. And then all you need is the price to kind of meander through this range and do something like that. This is the most profitable DLM risk reward trade to set up. So there you go. Good call out, Crypto Jones.
Yep, there it is, man. There it is. Sergio Yaps, and I think we're going to kind of call it here, guys, because I do have to hop on another call here shortly. But Sergio says, what do you think of Made? Yeah, I kind of gave a take earlier on that. I think it's it's an experiment. We've seen the zero human companies before. It's not a new concept per se. And I think it trades like an experiment. It's going to be very hard to justify their market cap valuation. So, take that as you will. I probably wouldn't buy, but more power to the team. Yeah. So, Josh, anything you want to close it with, guys? I'll add this. There's about 3,000 of you in here today. If you guys are new to MCG, we're here Monday through Friday. We have been on top of every single narrative, cutting, bleeding edge for the last year and a half. Have not missed a single trend, have not missed a single narrative. Live Monday through Friday with the best founders, giving our takes. Make sure, if you're not already, go follow MCG Live on Twitter. We're closing in on 15,000 followers. We probably will hit this by the end of the night. Or not 15, but 14.5 by the end of the night, which is really nice. We had a great show today with Praveen from Meteora, Nathan from Long, great alpha there. And then, of course, finish it off with Made. So just a great overall stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, look, it even looks like we got out a tweet already. Breaking, Long XYZ partners with Lighter XYZ's leverage spot position. And Mint could go live today. The team is racing to get their white paper live today. Yeah, great. Look at that, bro. Live real-time alpha. Come on. Who's doing it like MCG? Nonetheless, make sure you guys are going and following. Great community here. We appreciate all you guys do. Really, your chatting makes this so fun, makes it so easy. And, we do want to appreciate you. So yeah, sorry, Josh, real quick, wants me to do something. All right. But yeah, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you tomorrow for Friday. We have a pretty good stream, wrap up the week, and then next week is absolutely a banger. So we're going to be showing up every day. Hope to see you guys with us.
Hit us with tickers. Go, if you go to Linktree, go watch on YouTube. We have a growing YouTube community, and actually the viewing experience is much better on YouTube. So it's youtube.com. Actually, boom, I can pull up the banner right here. youtube.com /@MCG Live. If you have MCG_live, if you have friends and family who are learning about crypto, honestly,
pretty good timing.
Pretty good show. And
pretty good show.
Fun. Yeah.
Pretty handsome, hosts. I don't know. Some would say pretty jacked and handsome and hung hosts. So nonetheless, guys, we appreciate y'all. We're catching you tomorrow. I'm catching you tomorrow solo in it. Josh is going to be deep in the woods, camping. So wish him luck. And yeah, we'll see y'all boys tomorrow. Peace.